Welcome to the Orange Hammer Podcast. My name is Corbett Storick. I've been a licensed general contractor for 8+ years, specializing in new construction, renovation, furniture building. I'm the son of an architect and an interior designer, and I've been surrounded in this industry since birth, watching all aspects from concept, design, build, punch list, and of course, all the problems that come up in between. In my time in Durham, North Carolina, I've noticed a significant gap in knowledge between homeowners who need work and the people who do the work. On this podcast, I hope to break down the process of homeownership from the perspective of both the homeowner and the contractor in an effort to help raise the knowledge of homeowners about their homes and the construction/renovation process. I hope you enjoy. If you're enjoying the Orange Hammer Podcast, or if you have a topic that you want covered, or have recently done a project, please contact the Orange Hammer Podcast. The Orange Hammer Podcast is on Instagram and Facebook. Please like and subscribe, share on whatever platform you're enjoying your podcast on. Also, check out our YouTube channel, The Orange Hammer. The Orange Hammer Podcast is proud to be brought to you by CRS Contracting LLC for all your construction and handyman needs, new buildings to renovations, furniture building, EV charger install, or even a TV mounted. You can call me, Corbett Storick. It'd be my pleasure to help you. You can find me on Instagram at CRS Contracting. WSDG, the Walter Storick Design Group, specialists in architectural and acoustical consulting. Check out WSDG.com. And Taylor Bragg, for all your artistic needs in all mediums. You can find her on Instagram at brag_about_art. That's brag, BRGG, with 2 G's. She's the fantastic artist behind the Orange Hammer logo, and she did my fantastic table painting of my podcasting table. The Orange Hammer Podcast is proud to be brought to you by Stacy Sloan with Keller Williams Elite Realty, proudly serving the Durham and Triangle area for 25 years. Call Stacy at 919-972-1180. The Orange Hammer Podcast is proud to be brought to you by Rachel Z with Rachel Z Real Estate Team Realty. From the Triangle to the Triad, call Rachel Z at 919-323-6068. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Orange Hammer Podcast. I've got Pedro and Sarah Rios with Brite Co Electric in the house. How y'all doing today?
Doing good.
Doing good.
Thanks so much for coming. Sarah, I know we met at it was the Meet and Mingle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like I need to just make her an unofficial sponsor because, right. Kaylee Bain and the Meet and Mingle is responsible for so many of my podcast guests at this point that it's like I keep shouting her out every single time. Was that your first Meet and Mingle?
It was, yeah. I've been to plenty of other networking events, but that was my first one with her. Yeah. So
that's one of my favorites. Obviously it being free is a huge plus. And for those who don't know, I know I've mentioned it a couple times, but Kaylee Bain runs a Honey Gin marketing agency, and she does a monthly free networking event for, she'll say young business owners, but it is not an age cap thing. It's just really small business owners.
Right.
And it's just simply trying to connect business, social, all together. They do it at Bond Brothers in Cary, and there's always a sponsor every time, which gets all the guests their first drink free. So there's our plug for Kaylee. We love you. So with the same last name, are you guys related?
Yeah, Sarah's my cousin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
Thanks.
Now it's cousin.
Yeah, now it's cousin. Sarah, me and Sarah are married. We've been together for about 4 years going there. And so, yeah, that's how she got my last name.
Just stole that one, huh?
Exactly, yeah.
There you go. So that is an amazing topic that we got to just dive right into because the old saying is never do business with family, never work with your spouse, never start a company with your cousin, never open a bar with your brother, all the above. But clearly, unless you guys are just faking it, it's working out.
Hey, nobody told you how we do it. So
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Fake it till we make it.
figure till you make
Yeah.
it.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the only way you gotta do it. If you look at any business that started up, nobody knows what they're doing. Well, actually, you don't want your electrician to say that. I know what I'm doing.
No, I actually don't mind my electrician saying that because it just shows honesty. If you're going to say you're 19 and you just started a business and you know everything, that just means you're arrogant because there are 60-year-old electricians who've been doing it since they were 18 and they still don't know everything.
Oh, yeah.
And you just have to be, hell, I'm still learning the lesson too. You have to be open to just constantly learning. You know, as I was telling my plumber, because last Friday we put in a sink and we tried to put in a sink and it shattered in our hands. And all I get to do is walk into the bedroom and knock on the door and go to the customer and go, so the bad news is I broke your $480 sink. The good news is I'm going to buy you a new $480 sink because I'm a man of my word and that's what you got to do, you know, and there goes the profit margin. But you got to do it.
Sometimes honesty is the best policy. You'll be surprised just being honest and upfront with your customers. That will get you just a whole lot more business.
Yeah, and time.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a problem immediately. Customer, here's the problem. Here's what we discovered. Not a week later when the day before the deadline, being like, oh, we had to push it 2 weeks because of this problem I forgot to tell you about. Well, now you've just pissed somebody off.
Oh yeah.
You know, if you make a mistake and you immediately go to your customer and are like, yo, I made a mistake. It happened 8 seconds ago. All I can do is tell you I did it, tell you I'll fix it. Sorry we got to delay a couple of days, but like shit happens. I didn't try to break the sink. You didn't try to wire something wrong. Nobody's like, oh, I want to do crappy work on purpose because I'm just so busy and have so much money. Like this is not, it's not like a real, you know, accurate way of life. Were you an electrician before y'all met?
Yes. Okay. So I grew up in the industry. My dad's an electrician. Well, he's an electrical engineer back in Mexico. Came to the States in early 80s, 90s, somewhere around there.
Okay.
But I'm not going to get into my life story here.
Oh, I want it. What part of Mexico?
Mexico City.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
He graduated from UNAM.
Say it again?
UNAM.
Okay, I don't know UNAM, but I've only been to Mexico City once.
It's a nice place. I went to Mexico last year, actually. I went to Mexico. Really nice. Loved it. Great food. Great people. Really enjoyed it. Definitely want to go back there again.
So he moved in the 80s.
Yes.
So was that aforementioned trip your first trip to Mexico?
Wait, can you repeat that again?
So you said your dad moved to the States in the 80s.
Yes.
And so I'm guessing you're born in the States?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. On the flight?
Just mayor.
Yeah. So that trip that you just took to Mexico, I guess I'm asking, like, do you go back a lot? Or was that like your first trip?
That was my first time that I've ever gone to Mexico. And the Spanish in Mexico is, it's different than the Spanish spoken here in the States.
Yes.
And it's more of a Spanglish here, really.
Mm-hmm.
So when we went to Mexico, my parents were so surprised because and I'll be honest, I don't know how I did it, but I busted out the perfect Spanish. Like, it's like, to make it quick, like, for example, soda. Here, we say soda. Oh, me da una soda. Like, can you give me a soda? In Mexico, it's called refresco.
Mm-hmm.
So little stuff like that, you know, someone can tell, oh, you know, you're not from Mexico. But I don't know how I did it. I felt like I busted out some perfect Spanish. Even my parents, they were like, oh, wow, like, where do you learn that kind of Spanish? I was like, I don't know.
It's in the genes. It's just, it percolated through. It doesn't matter where you're born.
My senses picked it up. Oh, we're back in the homeland. Gotta bust out the.
I definitely knew that it was refresco, but I always just ask for the specific drink. I'll just be like, I want a Coca-Cola instead of like a soda. But I mean, I've only done Mexico City the one time, but I've been to Mexico once or twice a year since I was born. My parents actually have a spot in the Yucatan, but that's 8 hours away from Mexico City.
More towards the south, right?
It's right on the water, an hour from Cancun. Whereas, like, for those who don't know, Mexico City's 5,000 feet above sea level. It's not the beach. It's a mountain. And I went there with beach clothes, completely uneducated. We were some friends of mine just went for, I guess it was a year ago or whatever, but there was a really big Formula One race in Mexico City, and the Mexican-born driver was like in second place. So it was a huge deal. We didn't actually get like tickets to like be at the actual race, but we were in Mexico City, and everybody's wearing his shirt, and we're watching in the bar, and everyone's freaking out, and like, you know, for the tacos alone, it was worth the trip. It's like every 8 feet there's a giant spinning cone of pastor, and they just slice that shit off and take that slice of pineapple from the top, and I'm just like, oh, I could eat 11,000 of them.
What's your running joke for that one too, sir?
That when I go, I'm just gonna stick my head under there and say, just bring them.
Just shave it off right into my mouth. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm not even upset about that. Yeah, yeah. We would do what I call a bang bang, which is where you eat a whole meal and then just go to another place and eat a whole meal.
Yeah.
Like, but not like we're not hungry. It's just like it's too good to stop eating. Yeah. So it definitely gained some weight on that trip. That's for sure. But it was worth it. It was worth it.
I went to this taco stand while I was in Mexico. I don't know how I did it here. Usually I can stomach about 3 or 4 tacos. I just kept on eating. Yeah.
Well, they're smaller. For those who haven't been, like, even a small taco in America is 20% bigger than the taco that you're getting in Mexico.
Yeah, now that I recall, it's a little bit smaller, but
because I would go up I was traveling like with my sister, who's American, her boyfriend's American, our other 2 friends American, so like we're all used to American like portions and stuff like that, and so we'd be like, oh yeah, 3 tacos each or whatever, and then they come and they're this big, and we're like, and we eat them, and then he'll come over and be like, everything good? And be like, we need another round of 3 tacos. It was like ordering another round of drinks. Be like, bring another round of tacos.
Keep them coming.
Just keep them coming. Yeah. Keep them coming. I feel like it was pretty common, though, because I was expecting like a weird look, and they would be like, see, let's go. Like, boom, boom, boom.
It's really not. And even if you go to like a taqueria here in the States, you'll see, they'll ask you, or you'll see people ordering another round, and so it's something, I figured since it's so small, it's one of those things where sometimes you underestimate it. You're like, dang, should order that 3rd one.
Yeah, oh yeah. I feel like for me, I haven't noticed that specific trend because I'm always ordering them at a place like where you have to walk up and order it. There's not like a waiter who's going to come by and be like, you need more tacos? It's like you got to walk up and be like, I would like 4 tacos. And then you just like wait there and take it to or a taco truck where it's like I take it to go and go home. And it's like nobody's asking me if I need more, but I'm always getting too many tacos. And when I'm putting down that 5th one, I'm like, my stomach hurts, but it's so good. I don't care. Yeah, but... Okay, so this episode brought to you by Fatty Foods and Refrescos. Yeah.
If we ever get audited and people ask where does all the Brite Co money go, goes towards food.
It goes to food. You can't live without it, so might as well eat some good stuff. Y'all cook?
Yes.
Yeah?
Some,
I do.
Yeah.
You cook?
Yeah.
Not a big cook,
bit.
Sarah?
I cook, but I don't do it for fun. I cook out of necessity.
Oh, okay. That is a very good distinction because I feel like that's my girlfriend, Jen. Like, she's got 5 dishes that are all really good. She will kind of downplay how good they are. And I'm like, you need to give yourself some credit. Like, just because they're simple doesn't mean... But she doesn't enjoy it. She doesn't, like, have fun in the kitchen. It's very much like, okay, I got to follow these steps. I've got to get it cooked. And then we're going to have fun eating it. Where I'm, like, in the kitchen, and she's like, can I help you? And I'm like, nah, I'm doing my thing. Have fun. You're 8 feet away on the couch. Let's watch TV and blah, blah, blah. And, like... But for me, I can clearly tie it back to culture with my mother. The kitchen is her thing. She loves to host. She loves to cook. My grandmother would have everything cooked before anybody came in the house, waiting in the oven in decorative dishes. And then it's hors d'oeuvres and cocktail hour. And she's the host, My mother's way of doing that is... I'm going to cook the whole meal in front of all the guests, and we are going to have beers in the kitchen, and, ooh, taste this sauce. Oh, it needs more salt. And everybody's involved in, Harry, chop the carrots real quick, and Pop's on the grill, and Corb, you're making the guac. And, so it's like completely different, like cultural, generational divide.
Right.
Whereas like my grandmother was like, this is my kitchen. Y'all get out.
we're not doing dishes together. Like, I cooked and it is ready. The pasta is in the oven, in the casserole dish. And it's, my grandfather couldn't do anything but grill chicken because that was the only thing he was allowed to do. Like, my grandmother was like, you don't even get to make the coffee in the morning. Like, grandma did everything except grill the chicken. But she made the rice and peas and the salad that went with the chicken. My grandma had 9 dishes in rotation, so a lot of rice and peas, a lot of grilled chicken. It was like Friday family dinner, grilled chicken, always. Teriyaki, marinade, every time. Yeah. So you cook for fun, it sounds like.
Well, I'm the kind of cook to get out of the kitchen. Let me perfect my art right
Okay.
here. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I wanted to be I wanted to be a chef
Me too.
before getting into the electrical industry. And obviously that didn't work out. I'm here,
I wanted to be a chef until I went and worked in a restaurant.
Oh,
Yeah, I had all this I guess it's the Food Network's fault, maybe, where it's so glorified on TV, and it's like, yeah, I'd love to be Alton Brown. But Alton Brown wasn't born Alton Brown.
Yeah.
Alton Brown went and was a dishwasher and then made the salads for a year and blah, 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 and worked up and worked in a restaurant and managed a restaurant and owned a restaurant and then probably worked for the Food Network doing some dog shit job. And, and then he's Alton Brown. Mm-hmm. And I did one summer bussing tables. And I was like, no, this is not the industry for me. I was like, this is wrong. I was like, I was like, this is backwards from the bottom. I was like, I'm doing all the work and the waiter gets the tip. I was like, this is already, I'm gone. Yeah. But I just like to cook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what ruined it for me. I worked in fast food throughout high school.
Okay.
I worked for Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
And
my pleasure.
it's still there.
Yeah.
I still say it every
You say it all the
time.
time.
Yeah.
It's been carved into you, I
pretty
feel
much.
like. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was in high school in management at a Chick-fil-A. I mean, I was there 50 hours a week and in school full time. So
wow.
yeah, I was busy.
Do they pay as well as advertised?
No. I mean, when I worked there, I only made like $7.35.
That's minimum wage, I'm assuming.
10 cents above minimum wage.
10 cents.
And then when I became a manager, I made $7.85.
That's
So
still
a whole
pretty
50
low.
cents. Yeah.
Okay, but I guess the owners are ranking it in.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Because I know not a whole lot, really, just like what my buddy has told me. But according to my buddy, who has done the research, according to him, which is like, okay, what research did he even do? But anyway, according to him, it's like you have to be like a very serious and documented Christian in order to get one of the franchises like approved by, I guess, corporate. Yeah. And so that's why not everybody just opens a Chick-fil-A, because apparently they do print money if you're the owner. Like you really do well. But because I was like, I'm going to open a Chick-fil-A. And he was like, dude, you were born a Jew. They're not going to accept you. And I was like, all right, well, never mind. Well, scratch that.
How do you think they'll take if a Catholic walks up in there and says, hey, I want to open one up?
Probably the same. Yeah.
No.
Although I don't know. Christianity and Catholicism are at least like the same cross and the same Jesus.
You will be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm an anti-religion person, so I just to me, they're all kind of cultish. Yeah. I was born a Jew. I was bar mitzvahed even, so I was like forced to do all of it. And then I don't know when I got to whatever age and something clicked, but I was like, this seems a little like, how are we all wrong and all right? It can't. It does, yeah, and it just, I don't know. It just didn't work. It didn't work for me. Yeah.
No, me personally, I have many business acquaintances and whatnot of all religions. And me personally, I love everybody. I love to learn. So I love to learn about all types of religions, how they're different, how there's similarities. In my mind, it's all the same, just different fundamental issues, but I can sit down with someone from each different religions and we can have a splendid time talking and whatnot, because that's what it's all about. There shouldn't be any reason for any animosity between one sector to another. It's all about just getting along, and it's so much easier when it's like that.
I couldn't agree more, except for people who try to push theirs on you. That's where I get noticeably upset. I'm like, if you want to believe in whatever you want to believe in, and it helps you be a better moral person and guide your business and help your family and provide and fill in the blank for all those other positive things, more power to you. That's amazing. I use exercise. If you want to use the Lord, if you want to use the church, cool. But if you want to stop me in the street while I'm in a rush and bother me after I've said I'm not interested, and then you keep persisting and you're like, well, do you enjoy being alive? Because the Lord is the reason you're alive. And I'm like, dude, I said no thank you politely twice. Move on. Like, no, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Like, don't leave flyers on my door where it says no soliciting.
Yeah.
And they do all the time because we're in the South. And there's
believe
churches everywhere, especially in Durham. So that's where I'm like, yo, do your thing.
Yeah.
Let me do my thing. And if you think my soul is damned, then move on to another soul. Like, you know, like,
Exactly.
yeah. But if you can't have a nice conversation with somebody because they believe something different than you, you're the asshole.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's, yeah.
And then just personal respect for everybody. You know, you don't know why they're in that denomination. You know, maybe there was something that happened, or maybe they just grew up in that. But you know what? There's no need to be trying to push, you know, your beliefs on others, and it's not even on the religious aspect.
It's all good. It's just a phone. We'll get it muted. No worries. Oh, it's the iPad. I didn't even see you got the big iPad. Man,
Yeah.
you guys
Silence the phones, but not the
you guys
iPad.
came prepared. 3 phones and an iPad. Yeah.
Hey, you never know. I might have a slideshow.
Hey, we'll a slideshow with audio only will be the most entertaining slideshow ever. Here's a slide of an electrical outlet. Here's a slide of a fixture. Here's a slide of an electrical panel. Just take our word for it. It's there.
Just imagine it.
Just imagine. Just close your eyes and think of wires and labels and organization. Yeah.
And it looks really good. To
Yeah.
however your definition is, really good.
Okay, well, so let's dive into that. How OCD are you? And don't lie to me. How OCD are you with the like labeling of the electrical box? Is it
I'm very OCD
Okay.
about it.
okay? That's your job,
Somewhat.
somewhat.
I
Okay.
handle the aesthetics.
You handle the aesthetics.
That's what I say. So
Okay.
I'll come in there with the label maker, label everything. I'm the one I stand there and tell you if something's crooked, if it looks straight, if you need to fix it. That's what I do.
I am a huge fan of label makers. You should see my bin of finish nails where they're all marked and labeled with different lengths, so I know exactly which one's which and which one I'm running low on. But I'm more OCD than most people. Self-diagnosed, just so we're clear. Yeah,
Right.
but I'm very. Like, you can see, but look at my office. It's just like the glues are separate. Like I got 4 types of glue down there. They're separate shelves. So. Is it just you two, or do you have other employees or subs or
We got a couple of crew going on too for certain projects. Yeah, so
crew, as in like 2 guys in their own van, or like what's define crew for me?
yeah, the 2 guys in the van.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you can run. So if you have 1 crew in a van and you 2, you can probably do 3 or even 4 jobs at one time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Well, we have we have a network, of people, that we, work with, and well, that sounds kind of bad. Let me rephrase that. We have our crew, and then sometimes we bring on some part-time employees depending on the scope of project. So we're able to tackle stuff, and then usually me and Sarah, we handle the customer service side, more like like service jobs, going to a home, where you're meeting with, you're going to people's homes. That's one of the biggest things, for safety wise, not saying that I hire bad people, but just, in the regards of, you want to keep a face there, somebody that,
Well, you 2 are the face of the company.
That too.
So you want to both put in that face time. And I think you were kind of circling around really the liability issue of like, you could hire good people, but that doesn't mean if you bring in a part-time guy for a week because you got 2 new house construction wires, he's not your main employee under your main company liability. He probably has his own liability. So you don't send that dude to swap a fixture for, 1 grandma.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a different type of job. Yeah. So primarily, what would you say you guys are doing scope-wise?
So we do new construction of homes, light commercial. And then we also do renovations, commercial upfits, and then we do service. So from light fixture design, the installation, the getting outlets replaced, all that kind of stuff we do.
When you okay, so two questions that come up right away. So you mentioned light fixture design and installation. So light fixture, that's pretty obvious. For those who don't know what that means, that's the physical light that you see, either ceiling or wall or whatever. Installation is putting it in, just for listeners who might not know what that term meant. But the design part is what I want to ask you about, because a lot of times a customer will be like, I want either 4 or 8 cans. And cans for again, those are listening, the like recessed lights that are flush with your ceiling. It's kind of the newest, coolest, modern way to do it. And they're all LED and they use like no juice. And some of them now are even low voltage, which is crazy. But anyway, so are you the type of expertise that can go in and be like, oh, you don't need 8, that's overkill. Like you need 5 in a row, or you should have 2 rows of 3, or like, is that what you mean by design?
Yes and no. So there's different variables to it. So if someone calls us and they say they want to get recess lights installed, and they say, oh, well, they say, I want to get 8. Sometimes we pitch in, oh, well, I don't recommend 8, I recommend 6, or I recommend 8, for aesthetics wise. We can switch different sizing. There's typically a 12-inch, a 6-inch, and
they got those little 4-inch guys now.
Yeah, they even got the 4-inch.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, we try to give recommendations to our customers, and sometimes when we're also the type of people that are like, oh, you get what you want,
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping, because at the end of the day, you're gonna live there. That's your
Yeah.
home. That's your property. Your investment. So we're the type of company that whatever you want, we'll get it done for you.
So I again, just like religion, couldn't agree with you more on that statement of like, if the customer says, I want 75 lights here, put in 75 lights and here's a bill. But I'm more asking, like, if a customer is being very open and reasonable and calls you and is like, hey, I'm open and reasonable customer number 3, and I have no idea what should go in here, but I know this hallway is too dark. And my gut wants to see 3 lights. Is that enough light? Like, I guess I'm asking, like, do y'all have enough of an expertise where you could walk in there and go, oh, obviously this hallway is dark. 3's not enough, or 3's enough if they're 10-inch, but we'd really recommend 5 4-inch in a row. Like, is that the type of expertise in the design realm that y'all can provide?
Yes.
Yeah, because I even me, who builds regularly as a licensed general contractor, I rely on my electrician to tell me, like, should there be 6 lamps or 5? Like, I don't know. Like, is this going to be overkill? Is this going to be? He's like, oh, are you putting in dimmers? Yeah, we're putting in dimmers. Okay, that's way overkill. Like, you just turn them up, and then but you're going to have them down most of the time, and it's like, that's just, or like outlet placement, things like that. Like, obviously there's a code,
Right.
Yes.
but between you, me, and what about Bob, if you're doing outlet placement minimum to code, it's not enough outlets.
Right.
We need more plugs. Everybody wants more plugs.
Oh yeah, and there's a saying that code is just to the minimum. There's always way to exceed. And when we're doing renovations and whatnot, obviously the minimum that's required by code. But then we ask the customer, what is it that you're gonna have in here? Are you gonna have special equipment? Are you gonna have a desk, computer? Since everybody's working from home now. So different aspects. That's the conversation we have with a client prior to us, beginning the work, and then same thing with the light. Hearing them out, seeing what they want, then we can give our recommendation of what they're looking to get installed, what we recommend, don't recommend. Giving our professional opinion. And then another aspect of the design that we do is we do a lot of work with luxury homes.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, they call us and say, "Hey, we want to replace our ceiling fans." We did a project where we replaced 25 ceiling fans in the home.
It's a big home for 25
Yeah,
fans.
they had a lot of fans.
There's
too,
a lot of
so.
fans.
It's got to be 5,000 plus square feet.
It's like
Yeah.
around
I think 6 or 7,000 probably, but
think
they had like a
7.
home gym, a game room, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of fans.
Yeah.
And one of the concerns there was, what type of fans do you recommend?
Mm-hmm.
Or, when I look at the aesthetics of the home, this home was more of a farmhouse type of home.
Okay.
And they just had basic fans, but now they wanted to amp up the space. So Sarah over here, she's my top designer. And Sarah, sat down with the customer, discussed different options because, with what fans, what they recommend, what options we have. because we have vendors too that we can, provide you some really nice fans.
Right.
And just to make, pretty much we make it simple, pick out whatever style you want. We, guide you through the process, this is a light fixture we recommend. Don't really recommend this one. This light fixture will look really great in this space if it's like a bonus room or game room. So stuff like that. That's what that we handle with design. And then obviously, lights get purchased. We come back and install them.
Yeah.
Happy customer.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think you're. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So I'll sit down with the client. We'll look at your budget, what your style is, what your vision is. You want everything cohesive to match your hardware. Great, we can figure that out. You have gold doorknobs. We'll make everything gold. We'll make it all go together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just pulling that. How can we elevate the space and fit it within your budget, but make it look really nice as well. And then throw in recommendations like for oh, you have a theater room. Well, we want to make sure we put a dimmer in there so you can dim the lights and things like that. So
you're bordering on, if not over the line, into interior design.
Right.
That's at a point.
Yeah, to a degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so are you like bringing, say, like that iPad with like 5 pictures of fans that y'all get a better price on from y'all's supplier, and like these are the 5 we could get you. We recommend this number 3 to go with your aesthetic, or is it bigger than that?
So usually what we do is kind of like a discovery call. So what I do, we talk through, okay, what is the style of your home? Like, are you more mid-century modern, more farmhouse? What do you want ideally? And then we do a walkthrough of the home, and then we'll put together a presentation and say, okay, here's 3 options for fans that we think would match. Here's the pricing for those. Let me know which one you like. If you don't like any of these, we'll go to our vendor and find some more. Mm-hmm. So I usually present with like 2 to 3 options for each fixture.
Gotcha. Yeah, so you're the only electrician I've personally met that does that. Every other electrician I've met is like, the labor price for a fan swap is X. Provide me a fan. I do not care about it. Like, as a customer, pick your fan. Go, right. You all have Google. Go to Home Depot. Yep. Go to wherever. Like, pick your fan. And then the electrician is like, fan swap is X. It's irrelevant what kind of fan, unless of course it's like one of those. What's that brand with the big ass fans where it's like, okay, I need a second guy because it weighs 1,000 pounds or whatever. Right. I looked those up. They're so expensive.
Oh yeah.
Whoa. I wanted one because I'm designing a house, and I was like, 2 of these in the garage, 1 of these in the gym, and they're like $15,000 a fan. I was like, we're gonna be skipping that because there are brands I've never heard of with the same fan for a third the price. I was like, I don't need that company's logo.
Right. The thing that when I was coming up in the industry that really surprised me was the cost of fixtures. And you're working for a company, they just give you a fan and say, hey, this has to get installed here. You don't know how much it costs, what the price is. But we've installed some light fixtures that are up to $20,000, $15,000, $30,000
for one single fixture.
One single fixture.
That gets you into like more flashy chandeliers and stuff like that. But
well, you mentioned earlier that you all are doing a lot of luxury homes, so it's an insane number, but the surprise is not there. Like I get it. Like, yeah, I mean, if $15,000 for a light fixture doesn't seem like a big deal when you're in a $6 million house inside the Beltline of Raleigh. It's just like, okay, well, I drive my Rivian, and when I'm bored, I drive my BMW, and let me go into my home gym with my 85-inch flat screen, and I'd love to see a $15,000 chandelier that I saw on a vacation in Greece. And they buy it and they ship it home, and then you got to put it up. And don't break that one, like the sink I broke. That would ruin your month. Oh. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's all, to me, that's insane. Yeah. $20,000 should be more than the entire electrical budget for the house I'm building. But it's all relative, I'm designing a $600,000 house, not a $6 million house. We're just in different worlds.
There's all aspects, and that's a great thing about Brite Co. We can work from anywhere from high-end luxury homes to just, new construction, general style building of homes. And like something you mentioned too, like typically electricians, it's so-and-so that would swap out a fan. We have customers like that too that call us up and say, hey, I want to get a couple ceiling fans replaced. Okay. Do you have the ceiling fan, or do you want to go through a design process, where we can show you some options? And they're like, no, we have them. Okay, cool. It's this amount. This is our schedule. Let us know.
Yeah. So, is there a cost for the what you call it, design consult?
So for the discovery call, there's not a fee or anything, and then usually, you know, if we're doing the design and the install, we kind of bundle it together and give them kind of a comprehensive price there.
Yeah.
So.
Gotcha. So like hypothetically, let's just use this fan that we're staring at right here.
Right.
So if I called you and was like, "Hey, I've got a fan in a box. I need a swap." That's easy to be like, "It's $250. Like service call is whatever," and then whatever. And if I was like, "Oh, feel free to, or I would like I would like the design help." You take the install fee and just like, I don't know, obviously I'm just kind of making up numbers, but you add whatever percentage to that and be like, okay, if you wanted it, you know, we helped you with the design. And so it's an extra $150 or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So there's I don't know the percentage off the top of my head,
That's
but there's
fine.
a percentage that we tag in there and just a little extra for doing all the design too.
Yeah.
So.
Is that, like, do you let customers know that ahead of time? Like if you would like our help with the design, it's going to be like, I don't know, whatever, 15% more versus if you just provide us with a fan, it's X fixed price.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
That's something, you know, whenever we're doing that call, we discuss it. If we do that call and we determine their style and we determine their budget and they want to pick the fixtures, then I have no issue with that.
Cool. Yeah.
If they say, you know what, I think I have a good handle on this and I want to decide what I want to do, great. Go ahead. But
Gotcha.
if they still want that help to be able to pick out fixtures and use our vendors and use special pricing and stuff, absolutely. We can
Yeah,
help.
because I'm assuming you're probably with your specific vendors, you two are getting a little bit of a break on the fixtures that are from your vendors, like a wholesale price or something like that, versus, you know, the customer buying them the crap directly from Home Depot.
It depends, and there's different aspects to it. But something about our vendors too is offering the customization of the fixture. So there's certain fans to say about they really like a fan, and Home Depot, you know, you get it comes in that one standard size.
Right.
With some of our vendors, if you need a 60-inch wide fan and you really like this particular model, they can get you that model.
Yeah.
If there's this particular fixture and you need it to come down, you need it on the down rod, because that's something you see a lot in luxury homes. They have vaulted ceilings, so ceiling fans, certain fixtures have to get extended.
Yeah.
So that's something that they offer too.
That just happened to me on this condo I'm flipping. My electrician literally calls me and he's like, "Where's the down rod for the fan?" And I was like, "If it's not in the box, it's not there." And he was like, "Well, I can put it up, but it's a really high I really recommend." And I was like, "There's a Home Depot 9 minutes up the road. Go buy one, send me a bill. Like, I got to get it done. I'm not going to have you come back a whole nother day to put up a down rod. Just add on your 40 minutes to go get it."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Okay." And I was like, "While you're doing that, go buy all the necessary light bulbs and send me a bill." It's like, we got to get this done. So, yeah, it's something that something like a down rod definitely slips through the cracks because you don't really think about it, and then there's different lengths of down rods or like you were saying, the customization. What if, like, Home Depot only makes it in chrome and you want it in bronze, or you want it in black, or you want the fans 2 different colors or something like that?
Exactly.
Like that's a very cool aspect where at least for my world of work, I've never had that ability. Like, I always just have to tell customers, like, we will do all the electric stuff you want, buy it, and we'll swap it. Unless it's like the canned stuff. My electricians always want to buy all the canned stuff, all the aspects of that. They're like, we'll buy those.
Yeah, with recessed light, it's all pretty straightforward, really enough. And most of the times, at least in my, what we work with, it's all seen as like an accessory lighting, really, because then they have their ceiling fans or pendant lighting or whatever type of lighting or sconce lighting that's really going to be working all the time versus the can lights, or vice versa. But it's all the can lights are pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and like for those listeners who don't know, those can lights sometimes they come in like a box of 16. So like if you need 12 for a project, let your electrician buy the box of 16, and then he can use those 4 on another like it's it just makes more sense. So okay, what municipality sucks the most for permits? Let's throw everybody under the bus.
Let me think. I'm gonna be honest. Everything is super automated now online. once you start getting into smaller towns, sometimes you have to do it more like sending off an email, printing out a PDF, filling out the permit, emailing it off, and communicating it through email. Versus some municipalities, it's all virtual. Just type in your information, few minutes, boom, you get your invoice or your permit paid, boom, permit's issued. So it's all pretty straightforward, really. Nothing that we've really come across that's tough. Just just a typical. Maybe that's just me. I'm super like tech forward. Maybe I'm like, oh, I don't like sending off an email, printing off a PDF, filling it out, scanning it, and sending it off.
I mean, I got a scanner right here. It could be a lot worse. I just get very, very frustrated. Like, literally 2 days ago, I have to call and wait on hold for 25 minutes to get somebody on the phone in the city of Raleigh. Mm-hmm. And they're like, how can we help you? And I'm like, you have a hold on my permit. And they're like, yeah, you don't have, we need your workers' comp. And I was like, do you see 6 weeks ago where I uploaded a workers' comp exemption because I don't have employees? And that's how the law works in North Carolina. And he literally went, let me put you on hold. And then 5 minutes I waited on hold, and he was like, your hold has been removed. Give it 24 hours. And I was like, so you delayed my project for 6 weeks because you guys asked me to give you something. I gave it to you, and then you just said you're wrong. And I was like, well, you cost me 6 weeks. Yeah. 6 weeks. Guess how long a deck takes to build? 6 days. Yeah. 6 weeks I couldn't get a footing inspection. So, and it's just like, so I'm with you on the automated part. I mean, Durham's automated. Tiny Hillsboro's automated even. I'm just doing Franklin County is automated now. Obviously, Wake County's been automated forever. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Orange County's automated. Like the automated part, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Great. I got my truck literally smashed into in front of Durham City Hall delivering a permit once. Oh, yeah, I literally walked into the basement, handed them the permit, because it used to be like, here's the plans, we'll call you, and you peace out. I was there for 3 minutes, walked out, back windscreen shattered. Ooh. Yeah, couldn't believe it. And I was like, cool, I'm in front of City Hall. There'll be cameras. Negative. I was like, well, I don't understand. If the municipality of City Hall does not have cameras, where are the cameras?
Right. It's concerning.
It was very concerning. Yeah. Yeah. But I guess I probably have the most gripe with Durham simply because I use them the most. So I guess that's probably not fair. Yeah.
We do a lot of work in Mecklenburg County.
Which county?
Mecklenburg County in Charlotte.
Oh, wow. That's a big circle, you guys.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere.
We go anywhere in the state.
Yeah. Wow.
So if there's work, we'll go.
Yeah, Brite Co's all over. Actually, it ties in with my saying, with the company saying, making America bright. Well, we're only licensed in North Carolina, so we're making North Carolina bright. Very bright. But we're
you just throw in a travel fee, or?
So we're from Charlotte.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we moved out here in Raleigh and Apex, really. We like to make it simple. We moved out here in 2020.
Apex is simple enough. Yeah. It's big enough that you can say Apex. Yeah.
You'd be surprised, though. Up in Charlotte, down in Charlotte, we're talking to people. Oh, we're from, we stay in Apex. Where's that at?
Yeah, well, okay, fair enough. Yeah. If you're here, though.
Oh, if you're here,
determining between Raleigh and Apex is very,
Right.
Yeah. I still throw Apex and Cary into the same thing. I'll be like, it's over in the Apex Cary area. And they'll be like, that's an hour and 30-minute circle. Like, where am I going? And I'm like, I got to get you an address. I don't know. Yeah, it's over there somewhere. How long have y'all been in Apex?
Since 2020.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. I came up here first.
Yeah, Sarah came up here first.
Yeah, so I moved to Cary in 2020, and then you came up very beginning of 2021.
Yeah. So, like, right in the thick of it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. What a time to move.
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah. Was the pandemic a factor, or was this just life was doing this anyway?
No, so I graduated from college, had a job in Cary lined up. So
okay.
Moved out on my own, knew nobody, and just went with it.
Nice.
In the middle of a pandemic, so.
I assume you left that job to do Brite Co full time?
Yeah, pretty much. Had a couple stops in between, but I was in insurance before.
Insurance.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
we can skip that. Not exciting.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But now my risk management brain just goes crazy. I'm like, no, we can't do this on the job. We can't
That's
do that.
good
Like,
though,
it's
because
good.
electrical stuff, there's
yeah.
some risks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And that's a great segue, actually. So I started this podcast to try to educate homeowners who, in my opinion, buying a home is the most expensive and most important thing ever. Like in the material possession world, you know,
Right.
like family, friends, all that good stuff. But, you know, I would get calls all the time from people, and they'd have me walk into their $400,000+ home, and they'd want to do something because they saw a TikTok video, and they're like, well, this girl did it on TikTok for $800. And I'm like, no, she didn't. That's a TikTok video. I was like, that's not possible. I was like,
Right.
you want to rip out a tub and slide in a new tub? The tub is $800 just for the tub to arrive in a cardboard box. You got to pay somebody just to even open the box. I was like, this is not how that works. Also, in this particular case, it was like literally ripping out a tub, and they were like, but we want to keep the tile. And I was like, that's not how that works. You got to put it over the lip of the tub. We got to rip it all out, waterproofing, blah, blah, blah. Do you want water rolling through into your kitchen in the floor below? And they just, this particular client, 3 times in a row, I've told this story a few times, couldn't grasp it. And I would drive away every time. Like, first of all, what a waste of my time. Because I charge $100 now to come out and give like full estimates. But back then I wasn't. So this was just a waste of my time. 3 times in a row. Same couple, same house, same bathroom. And every time I would drive away and be like, how do they not get it? Like, how do they not understand? Like, the water goes this way. There's a lip of the tub, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, do I mail them the entire catalog of This Old House on DVD and tell them to, like, start researching, watching, learning? Or do I start a podcast? So I started a podcast. But from the electrical side of things, I am not the super educated person. So since I've got the experts in the studio, I'm trying to think the best way to phrase the question. Like, houses have a lot of maintenance. Yes.
Yes.
We agree on that. Like,
Yes.
you got to clean your gutters and, you know, pressure wash and clean and check stuff and make sure the windows are caulked and sealed and all that stuff and check your crawl space. It seems to me, the uneducated person in the field of electrical, that there isn't really electrical maintenance. It's more, it works till it doesn't, and then replace it. So correct that statement if it's wrong. And is there maintenance?
At least from
Go ahead.
at least from my time in the industry, it's a yes and no kind of question. So definitely something, because it's electrical at the end of the day. You can't open up, you know, if you don't have any experience, open up your panel and you say, oh, what does this do? What does this metal piece do here? Next thing you know, you're fried like a KFC chicken.
Yeah, because like plumbing's kind of easy. It's like if you open the kitchen cabinet under the sink and everything's dry and perfect, then you're good. If you open it one day and there's a little drip, or you see black mold, or it's noticeably wet, let's turn off that water shut off, hot and cold, and call a plumber. Like you can I'm using air quotes. You can do the maintenance on plumbing stuff basically by just visually checking everything. Is it cracked? Is it leaking? No. Okay, cool. But electrical, it's like, you know, even when you open the panel, it's like, okay, the breakers look like the breakers. It's, you know, it's harder to see them starting to fail. Even me, I'm slowly learning the feeling of flicking a breaker that is starting to go, where you can like kind of tell, like, oh, that doesn't click as nice. That's like, but it works, but it's starting to go.
Yeah.
But that took me like a long time, and I'm not in the industry. So like a regular homeowner who, you know, the wife is a nurse and the husband works in tech, they have no idea. They're relying on us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I take this job pretty serious, and that's why that's why I take this career pretty serious. Cause one thing, straight here. No, that's why we take this pretty serious because there's first of all electrical. There's so many dangers. There's so many hazards. You gotta think about. Then you got your family. This is the big investment that you have here. So part of Brite Co is how can we help you maintain your investment? Make sure keep an eye on that ROI.
Yeah, which is everything nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Simple stuff, that a homeowner could do when it comes to electrical and making sure that their house is okay. Step one, if you don't know it, don't touch it. Don't. If you're unsure, don't try to DIY it. Because one of the talking points that I had with one of my mentors coming up in the industry is, husband's gonna go, or husband or wife or whoever, son, daughter, whatever, is gonna replace their own light fixture in their bedroom. They go ahead and grab their aluminum ladder and they start swapping it out. They accidentally touch a wire or touch the exposed copper part. You're on an aluminum ladder. Next thing you know, zap, you fried yourself. So it's one of those things where if you're unsure about it, call somebody. And even if it's just a call and say, hey, I have this concern, we can, say, all right, well, don't touch it. When can we come out and take a look at it? We'll help you out. But stuff that a homeowner could do to make sure, that everything's at least okay until we can get to it is, for example, your GFCIs. Click the reset button. See, that's one thing too, testing out your GFCIs, making sure they're working. If you're noticing your switches, you walk into a room and you gotta kind of flick your switch a little bit just to get the light turned on. That might be an indicator that your switch is going bad. Maybe it's time to call an electrician to come out and take a look at it and see if it's a switch, if it's your light fixture. Because that even happened in our home not too long ago. I'm over here flicking my switch, trying to get my light to turn on. Obviously I checked it out, found out that the light was actually wrong, had gone bad. So
Yeah.
different aspects, but sometimes it could be that it's a switch, or sometimes there's an internal problem.
Yeah.
So there's different stuff like that.
And for listeners, you might not have gotten duped and it may have been installed correctly. Stuff is faulty. You have to, there is a legitimate factor there. You could have a brand new switch and a brand new light fixture and it installed flawlessly, or even overkill, and everything is perfect. And a year later, the switch could simply burn out and break. It does happen. It's not like, oh, they didn't put enough electrical tape, so it was a ticking time bomb. No. Stuff does, in fact, burn out and break. And unfortunately, in 2024, in the United States, where we don't really make any of the stuff here, and it's all, big box chain. And I'm a fan of Home Depot. I'm not trying to throw them under the bus. I need them. But the reality of just the situation we're in as a whole, as a country, is it's all about how cheap and quickly they can pump out thousands of light switches and get them in a cardboard box and get them to Home Depot and get them to you at a discount. And that trickle down effect means that the switch is not going to last 40 years. Switches that were made 20 years ago are just better. It's that old saying that that 1950s steel fridge will tick and last for eternity, but then you buy a brand new $10,000 Samsung and you get 8 months out of it because there's too much tech and the screen breaks. It's the saying they don't make things like they used to really applies here.
I just installed a dimmer switch yesterday. Installed it, worked great. 5 minutes goes by, it starts buzzing, and the lights start flickering. I'm like, crap, I just bought this switch. Why is it acting up? So took it out, replaced it. Luckily, we had another one, replaced it. That one worked fine. But there's an example. You just spend X amount of dollars on a dimmer. You think it's going to work, and not even 5 minutes after it's been installed, it's already giving you issues.
And that was brand new, right out of the box, installed by a professional, 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
So that is clearly a manufacturer's defect. Now, you get the benefit of, hey, I bought this 2 seconds ago. I'd like to return it, and they will take it back. But that doesn't get honored a year later. And I'm really talking to the homeowner listening right now. it sucks. Let's be clear. Nobody likes things breaking. Nobody wants to hire an electrician. In theory, you never want to see a plumber. It's never a good time to see your plumber in your house. Let's be really clear. Oh, yeah. But you know, there's got, I don't know what the percentage is. Maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 5%, but like you got to factor that in before you just like get mad at whoever did the work. You know.
And that's why every time that we do work, I always try to make it clear to the customer, hey, this is what we're doing. This is how it's going to go down. This is what we're looking at. I over communicate and I try to avoid that, I try to avoid as much miscommunication as possible, to avoid any issues, because in my time coming up, there have been customers that get upset because the light doesn't turn on right away. Little do they know is that nobody has hit the switch yet, or if it's exterior lighting and they're on a time clock, you got to bypass the time clock so that your wall packs come on. So different stuff like that. But that's why we try to communicate with the customer and let them know, hey, this is the plan. This is how it's going to go down. And, and for example, with my dimmer yesterday, the customer was understanding, because, hey, why do you turn off my lights, I was like, oh, well, the dimmer went bad, and luckily it went bad while I was here.
Yeah, I got one in the truck. Give me 10 minutes. Yeah.
But unfortunately, sometimes some customers don't understand, and now I gotta switch over to damage control here, trying to, explain to them, hey, this is what's happening, this is what's going on. Like not too long ago. So another thing that Brite Co offers is we offer emergency service.
Okay.
So somebody had an issue with their meter box. I'm not exactly sure 100% what happened, but either way, Duke Energy had to come out and disconnect the overhead lines, and we had to replace that meter.
Okay. So Duke cut the wire from the street.
Yeah, the overhead lines. Yeah.
And for listeners, like the wire from the street down the pole to the actual circular meter that like tracks your bill.
And I guess, to explain it to the, homeowners or people who aren't, because I'm going to start speaking in, in the electrical terms, but, to make it easier. So from the power poles outside, wire runs to the very top of your home, where it connects to the wire that's coming down to your meter box. And from there, it distributes into the home or however the home is set up. So we handle from that connection point on downwards. So in this particular case, Duke Energy cut the overhead lines before whatever reason was going on in that meter enclosure. So we had to come out and obviously replace the meter, and what we were added to, we replaced the panel.
Okay. So you did a full, okay. Yeah.
Now, the issue here, though, is that all this happened on a Friday afternoon. So while we get the permit issued, get everything in line and start the work and whatnot, it takes time, and it's a process.
Oh yeah, then even when you get it perfect, Duke waits like 3 days to come back, and it's like or they're like, oh, we got your regular permit. Where's your temp pole power hookup permit? And it's like, guys, come on. Can we pretend we're on the same team for an eighth of a second, Duke Energy? I've got gripes with Duke Energy for sure. They have delayed me so much, and I've had, granted. You can only be so mad at a guy on the other end of a phone who's just answering a phone and has only been trained by whoever trained him. Yep. But when he tells me it's all good and we'll be out there tomorrow, and then a week goes by and it doesn't happen, and I've got to call back and they go, oh, you didn't submit a temp permit. And it's like, oh, come on, man. Joe Schmo a week ago told me it was good to go. Yeah. And I'm waiting to get the power to turn the heat on to get a final inspection to finish this whole house renovation. Like y'all are killing me. I wanted to circle back. I know what it means and you both know what it means, but I'd love for you to explain to listeners the GFCI. Because most people, I guarantee most people don't know what it stands for. I think it's ground fault circuit interruption.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Ground fault. Thank you. Woo. And so like I could explain it in short, incorrect terms, but I'd love to, other than it being an outlet that customers are like, why does this outlet have a button in it instead of an outlet without a button?
So just to describe, to make it, easy to understand. Ground fault circuit interruption detects any ground faults, per code, they're required to have them within 6 feet of, water source, in case, there's any ground faults or any, contact with water.
I.e. sinks.
Yeah. Sinks.
And your water heater.
Your water heater, bathrooms, your receptacle there.
Your well reservoir if you're in a welled house.
If you're going to have a shower light, you have to have GFCI protection on that shower light. So what a GFCI does is protects, from any faults, moisture, whatnot, so you don't get shocked pretty much.
So when you talk about the light fixture in a shower needing that protection, unlike the outlet, there's no switch. So do you have to do that with a GFCI breaker in the box?
No, you put it on a blink GFCI. So it looks like a GFCI receptacle, and I can show you a picture later. And trying to figure out the best way to describe it, through audio.
So it basically looks like a GFCI outlet, but it doesn't have the prongs. So it kind of looks like almost like those like old school motion sensor lights where you just like wave your hand in front of it, and it kind of looks like that. So it's just a blank kind of somewhat looks like a GFCI, but just doesn't have the prongs for the outlet.
And where does it go? Where do you put it?
So.
Go ahead.
So, for example, in this particular installation that we did, we put a double gang box, and we had a Decora switch, and so they can all look cohesive. And we had our Blink GFCI, so it's same way that you hook up, line load function,
Oh,
comes in,
okay. Yeah. So if both for my understanding and for listeners, so imagine you're walking into a bathroom and you open the door, and to the left there's instead of 2 switches, one for the light for the vanity and one for your bathroom fan, there's 2 switches and an outlet, but the outlet has no holes for you to plug something in. It just has a button, and that GFCI button is tied to the light that is in the shower.
Yes.
Okay, so instead of what you said, a 2 gang or a double gang, it would be a 3 gang or a triple gang box for the 3, but there's just there's really nothing to do with that other one unless there's a trip.
Yep.
And then you just press that button, and that stops your whole house from going up and sparking and all kinds of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. So you don't have to go all the way back to the run to the circuit to the breaker box and do GFCI breakers.
No, because GFCI breakers are they're a little pricey, and obviously we have to charge for that.
Yeah.
This
is that not becoming code now?
It is.
Yeah. So you have to have AFCI protection in bedrooms, pretty much in all gathering spaces, bedrooms, living rooms, dens, bonus rooms, all that fun stuff. And GFCI protection for your washer, and either GFCI protection, and when we say GFCI protection, either have an actual GFCI receptacle that's carrying on the load all the other receptacles in your kitchen countertops, or if you want to get fancy, have a GFCI breaker feeding that circuit in your kitchen.
And is there a benefit to doing one or the other? I could see the benefit of, at least for my kitchen, wire all the 6 outlets to one, put a GFCI in there so that if something happens, I can just click that button right there. I don't have to go to the circuit panel. Whereas, is there a benefit to having the GFCI breaker?
At least, professional, talking, convenience-wise, you have a GFCI that's, it's the cheaper alternative, and
the GFCI outlet or the breaker?
No, the outlet.
The outlet's cheaper. Yeah. Okay. But I guess people maybe don't want to look at it.
The thing about exactly, and the thing is sometimes when projects are getting bid out and whatnot, they don't want to pay for a GFCI breaker. The companies always look for a way to cut costs.
But what's the better option in terms of for if the customer doesn't care about the visual, and let's say we just finished my parents' house in Durham. Their circuit breaker is 10 feet from the kitchen in a closet. They don't have to go outside. They don't have to go to the crawl space. It's right there. So like if something really happened, they can walk 4 seconds, open a door, open an eye level panel, and flick the switch. Right? It's labeled. It's beautiful.
Personally, I would say slap a GFCI breaker in the
Okay.
in there. Yeah.
Okay. And obviously no one's holding you to anything, but like approximately, what's a price difference of these 6 outlets in the kitchen? You got to pay for them either way. It's this cost with the GFCI in an outlet. Is it like another 100 to get the breaker, or is it like 600? Like how much more approximately is the GFCI breaker rather than just the outlet?
Definitely. Looking with GFCI breaker, probably looking, just to make quick, simple, math. Probably like about a couple, I'll say a couple hundred. Just definitely on price wise, for the actual device itself, you're probably looking at about a hike of, about $100 or so. It depends on, there's definitely multiple factors.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
We get calls all the time. People ask us, "Oh, I want to install a car charger. What's the price?" We're like,
I've put in a lot of them. There's no single price. Yeah.
There's no single, but
yeah.
You get your customers that do understand, and they're like, okay, well, can we schedule on, a quote, and we can come out and check it out?
Yeah.
But then Sarah's had her shares where customers are just straight up rude to her and like, oh, well, so-and-so gave me a price, or so-and-so said, like, not within Brite Co, but like, another
competitor.
Company, yeah.
Right.
So-and-so said it will be this amount, or why do you have to come into my house? Because we need to determine these factors,
Yeah.
Your panel might be all the way in the back of the house, and you want to have the charger right in the very front.
It's a very long, expensive, thick wire, and if it's by the foot, it's by the foot. If you need me to buy a 25-foot bundle or a 150-foot bundle, these are different numbers. And am I crawling through your crawl space? Are we drilling holes? I put in a lot of these because people would see my car and go, "Oh, I'm getting one in a month." I'm like, well, you better buy the charger. And they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah. And so like my buddy Jeremy and I, we probably put in 15 of them.
Yeah.
But all difference from my panels in the garage and I want it next to it. Cool. Flat 600. Couldn't be easier. Yep. Or, okay, the panel is 87 feet away in an outdoor closet and you got to go through 2 different sections of crawl space that are not connected. And I'm like, that's going to be a little bit different. We're going to need to go out there and measure, and we got to drill through your wall. And by the way, you can only put it here because otherwise we got to go into conduit and like blah, blah, blah. And you only get so many 90-degree bends before it doesn't pass code, and you can't snake a new wire and, this, that, and the third. And so it's like, if those people are going to be rude to you, Sarah, you should, like, I would hang up the phone. Like, it's just unnecessary.
No, exactly.
It's never going to turn into a customer if they're rude from the get-go.
Exactly. And I tell people, I'm like, there's no way I can give you a price right here on the phone. I can give you a range. It could be between $500 and $2,000. There's no way for me to tell you how much it's going to be.
Yeah.
And they don't like to hear that.
No.
But you know what? We have to see. There's so many factors that go into it. And like you said, if it's not somebody that's going to understand that we want to be able to give you the correct price.
Yeah.
We don't want to tell you, oh, it's only going to be $500. And then all of a sudden we have change orders and have to make changes and charge you more later down the line.
That is the worst.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's with anything we do. We give comprehensive pricing. We know what the inspectors are looking for. We know the things that are going to be coming up or any little issue we could see that potentially could come up. We're going to make sure that you're covered. Like we're not going to nickel and dime you for every little thing. Oh, okay, it looks like we're going to have to make this tiny little repair to this. Okay, we'll just do it.
Yeah.
No big deal.
That's what I try to explain to a lot of customers about track builders. And I am not shitting on anybody. That person, we live in America. It's capitalist society. Good for him. He's probably doing great. But the reality is when a track builder says this house is X amount of money, he looked at the square footage and times it by a number and didn't include countertops.
Right.
He didn't include all this stuff that you're going to get a bill for, a change order for, 8 months into the build when you're already locked in and didn't realize that the price didn't include tile. Well, guess what? Obviously, we need tile. Whereas people will call me and they'll be like, how come you can't give me this house is this much money? And I'm like, well, you didn't pick a siding. So vinyl is half the price of hardy plank.
Right.
And they're like, oh, well, we want to go with Hardy. And I'm like, that's one example of 60 other decisions you have to make for me to give you a real number, because I refuse to be the one who says it's $210 a square foot and then we'll deal with finishes later, because you're going to be furious when you go look at level 5 granite and realize, or level 4 quartz and realize you have a budget for level 1 granite.
Right.
You're not going to be happy. And I want you to know from day one, like, these are the price differences between the 5 levels of granite and the 4 levels of quartz, and either determine what you want and budget for it, or pick the one in your budget. And here are the 6 options. And like I said, there's 60 other things that you've got to pick other than I've got a layout. Okay, cool. There's no kitchen layout. How do I don't even know how many cabinets to order you or what size they are. It's like, so that's building a whole house. The example of electrical is exactly the same. It's just a little bit smaller, but I 100% I 100% know that you guys are doing it right. And any customer listening, you don't want the person who just can give you a blank number. That's why they're able to do that. You want somebody who's going to take a tad bit of time to actually give you the right number. And guess what? If that person needs to charge you for that time, pay the person for their time. It's like, you guys have that free phone call, but you're not designing for free. That's a factor worked into your price. Right. You're doing work. You're exercising your design brain. You're coming up with a presentation. You're sending pictures. You're doing research with your suppliers. You're talking to him. You're talking to your installer. Oh, okay. Oh, the installer might remember that one thing we discovered on 2 jobs ago. Oh, we need that extra $35 bracket. Well, let's factor in that $35 bracket. We're not going to lose $35 on this project. Let's explain to the customer, hey, we discovered the last time we did the same thing, it didn't hold. We went and bought an aftermarket bracket. We're doing that from now on. So it's $35 more. Oh, great. I would love the stronger bracket. You guys figured this out.
Right.
Like, that expertise takes time and money, and it's not really just, oh, the electrician did it in 45 minutes. No. It's 45 minutes plus 27 years of experience and training. Oh, yeah. It's like, it all factors in. Plus, all the screwdrivers weren't free, and you have 27 different screwdrivers if you're an electrician.
Oh, yeah.
So, I love the one that is kind of like, it doesn't actually move, but it's like an off-angled one, and it's like the crank.
Yeah.
I would always see my old electrician, he moved to Texas. My old electrician would always use that to take off outlet covers. And the speed in which he could take an outlet cover off, I was like, that's you got your 10,000 hours on just, and a flathead no less. So I was like, okay, I'm impressed.
I still can't figure that one out.
Yeah,
I try and I'm like,
I can't.
How does this work?
No, I can't. You really have to like hold it and spit. It's an art. It's an art. It's an art. Yeah, for sure.
I'll be honest. I've been in this business for years. I have one, but I've never used it.
Okay. There you go.
I don't know. It's just I'm pretty picky on like, sometimes they slip. You scratch the cover. You scratch the paint. I'd rather not deal with that kind of stuff, because there's stuff that we look at that we know that. For example, if I want to be running wires in the walls and whatnot, to me, my standards, I want to make sure it looks straight, aesthetically pleasing. But who's going to be looking at that?
Nobody. No, that's true. It's true.
But when the real aesthetics, real deal things come in, how are your lights installed? Are they flush up against the ceiling? Are your receptacles installed? Are the cover? This always bugs me so much, where you see the cover, just the cover plate for a switch or receptacle, and you can see where it's like dented in.
Yeah, because the receptacle is just a little too far in the wall, and so the like plate is kind of like concaved.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or they're not straight.
Or they're not straight. Yeah. Just there, and you're like, just, and it's like, no, we nailed that box to a stud. It's not happening. Yeah.
I've been into some new homes, like freshly just built. You plug in your outlet tester, it jiggles like.
Like, is there a box in here, or is this just sitting in
space?
Like
it's concerning.
Which there has to be a box, obviously. But
I don't know anybody specifically, but the new construction industry as a whole, I'm terrified at the shoddiness that I'm seeing. The corners being cut, the dollars being squeezed, the pennies being removed.
Oh yeah.
And, again, capitalist America, good for you, I guess. But I don't know. I care more about it lasting eternity than me getting through the 1-year warranty of the industry. So, like, I get terrified. I don't know if you follow Gold Star Inspectors on Instagram, but it's like this one black dude, and his tagline is "That ain't right." And he'll just walk around and film stuff, and then he'll flip the camera and he'll just look at it. He'll look at the camera and he'll like cock his head to the side and pierce his lips and go, "That ain't right. That ain't right. That ain't right." And he'll be like, new construction. Oh no, we don't need these plates. Oh, it's not attached. I'm like, how is this even possible? And he's not even the I'm blanking. He's not the building inspector.
Yeah.
Like, he's not the one that's actually passing it. He's like a third party just hired by the builder or the home, whoever.
Yeah.
And he'll just walk in and go, "What are you doing? Like, how is there no plates or whatever, or nail plates or sheathing, or, pick the thing." And it's just like, no. No, I was just gonna bring an example with the box that you were mentioning. Mm-hmm. I'm doing this condo in Raleigh that I had mentioned earlier, and my electrician went, with the down rod that was missing.
Yeah.
And he, immediately the same day, because he was supposed to just flip 10 fixtures real quick, mm-hmm. and he's all three, because one had two. One vanity had 2 lights, and one vanity had 1 light. So all 3 vanity lights had no box. So he takes them off, and there's just a wire with a hole. And he looks at me, or he texts me a picture, and he's like, "I know that this is a quick swap with no inspection, but we need a box here."
Yeah.
And I was like, obviously you need a box there. Add the box. Send me a bill. I was like, we don't need to have an argument about this. Like, do it correctly. I'm texting my sheetrocker right now. Hey, you got 3 more tiny patches. Like, let's just, we're not going to cut the corner here over $200 and extra dollars. What I'm already paying him to do. I was like, just get it done. But it I'm sure it baffles y'all every day, but baffled me. Who put that in the first time without a box?
Right.
What?
And something that we do, we also do like a whole home analysis. So
Okay.
we'll go through, we'll check the receptacles. Hey, is there movement? Is there a concern here? Is the receptacle loose? When we go to pull the tester out, are we having a hard time with it? So we check all of the receptacles, we check all of the switches, and then we go open up the panel and check everything in there. You'd be surprised what we find.
I probably wouldn't be. Yeah.
In these brand new, we had a client, they were about to run out on their builder's warranty and said, "Hey, can you just come take a look at this? Because I know there's issues." Mm-hmm. We had probably, a 20-page report full of issues? And it was major issues. Like, you're lucky the house has not burned down.
And y'all could do that for a 20-year-old home.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do it for any home. I mean, and obviously the issues are going to be different.
Right.
You have a 30-year-old home, you might have, the outlets are fine, but keep an eye on them because things are starting to get old. You might want to consider replacing this or that or this or that.
Yeah, or like the wires aren't sheaths because they're from the 50s.
Right.
Metal boxes. I've run into that where a realtor has been like, what do you recommend? And I'm like, I recommend I can't help you because this is out. You need to rip the sheetrock off and redo your electrical. I was like, I can't touch this.
For example, if you have a older home and the wiring that you have in your home is a old school, just a hot and neutral, so just a black and a white wire, and they call us and tell us, hey, we want to get new outlets installed. I'm like, well, you're going to have to replace the wiring because we have to install a 2-prong outlet. We can't install a 3-prong with a ground because, there's no ground wire.
There's no ground wire.
Yeah. And if you try, there's ways to bypass it, but those, that's not right. That's illegal.
What's up with the grounding? What's the, like, I get it. Like, there's an extra wire, 3 prongs now. It's a safety thing. But, like, I don't understand it other than, I put in a meter box for the land I'm trying to build to get a temp pole, and I failed because I didn't have these giant rods. and I had to get like a roto hammer and like bang them into the ground. Actually, I didn't get it. I had no power. I had to do it with a sledgehammer. Actually, you know what I used was one of those T-post drivers.
Yeah.
And my elbows were gone by the second post. And then the last like foot and a half, my friend was holding it, and I'm doing it with like a sledge.
Yeah.
It sucked.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You get a nice workout doing it.
Yeah, I got a great workout. It was shoulder day, sure. But I other than just knowing you got to ground stuff for safety, I don't understand the why, the science, the reasoning, what happens if you don't. I don't get it at all.
To make it simple, you know, like saying electricity comes in and it has to go out. There's only, same thing, any ground faults or anything like that, it pretty much travels through the system and disperses it into the ground. That's why they have to be driven 8 feet into the ground.
So if I think I understood what you just said, the electricity coming to your house, you're not consuming all of it. And what you're not using by your lights and stuff, the extra has to leave?
No, more in the aspect of if there's like, let's say there's a surge, like a power surge or something, and or almost like a way like an overusage of power. Something power goes out, comes back, or I'm trying to find a way to describe it here. Let's say you consume more power from a surge, like there's a lightning strike or power or something with a utility. If your house catches that surge, there's potentials for fires. So what the grounding system does is it pulls in that surge and disperses it out into the ground.
So it's more for the abnormal emergencies of power bursts, not like your daily power world.
Even for the daily, sometimes there's surges, are bound to happen. That's why it's important to, if you, for example, the saying, if you have computers, and there's like a bad storm or power's going to go out, you have to disconnect them because of those surges.
And use a power strip with a circuit breaker.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. See, I knew that from a kid, but never knew why.
Yeah. And
So my girlfriend Jen, the power went out one day, and then the power comes back on, and we hear a pop from the neighbor. And then next thing you know, the neighbor's house is on fire, and my girlfriend's house gets enough burned that she has to cancel her lease and move out. Was that, obviously there's so many other factors, so many other factors. But is it possible that was a lack of grounding?
Many factors. Couldn't really tell you, to be honest.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Could be about a million other different things.
Yeah. Okay. Touche. Yeah. Touche. I guess there's just like, until you actually start investigating, it's
Right.
like, yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
The best way that grounding was explained to me, I guess, is, skyscrapers have lightning rods on the top.
Oh, sure.
And then they have beams a grounding system that runs through the building, and then it disperses into the ground. So it's the same concept within your home. So if there's that power surge, that's why your grounding system is in place, because then it'll come through and disperse it into the ground.
And
So
this could be a power surge of like not even external. It could be a power surge of something you plugged in that was faulty, that just gave too much juice back through the wire or something like that.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, like, the blender was faulty from Black & Decker or whatever.
Right.
And you want to make sure that it has somewhere to go so it doesn't spark your panel.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's really just the exit strategy / path of least resistance.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
Cool.
and this is just like a quick summary, just be on it. So, if anybody's here and they're like, oh, those guys don't know anything, it's a whole topic article.
We could get into it for hours.
Okay.
That's the biggest.
Well, I've got 4 hours. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go. No. Science. No.
Definitely Article 250, grounding and bonding. That's the biggest thing in the NEC, National Electrical Code, for anybody wondering. And like I said, it's the most heavily tested part. Even on your licensing, you gotta understand the grounding and bonding.
Yeah.
And that's why it's crucial. Older homes, you slowly start changing out the wiring in your home because you don't have that equipment ground. If you get a computer and it doesn't have, and it comes with a ground plug, what are you gonna do now?
Yeah.
opening an avenue for potential issues.
I love when I see people who like break the ground prong off and
Yeah,
then
nah.
plug their like power tool into a 2-prong outlet. I'm like,
Nah.
I don't think you understand how this is working, but that's not a good look.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, on the commercial sites, we there's like a checklist where we have to inspect all our drop cords, and one of the biggest thing is making sure that you have your ground. Because if not, safety man is walking by checking your cords, and he sees that you have the ground cut off on the cord. You just take his side cutters and boom, snip them off. Cut the cord. So now now you don't have a cord anymore. Or same thing with the ladders if they're damaged or anything like that. You just grab them, walk them out to the dumpster, and boom.
This is OSHA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a big factor for commercial stuff. I don't really do a lot of, because I don't have the commercial license.
Gotcha.
So I've only done like 2 or 3 under the 40 cap commercial, like small build outs where like the building was built and they just needed like some walls put in, like temp, not temp, but just like non-load bearing offices or whatever. It's a tattoo parlor.
Gotcha.
But what's the continuing ed like? Or is there continuing ed?
Of course, it's always continuing it. And, going back to the first thing, we never stop learning. Things are always coming up. We always, we're always learning something. New systems are coming out. So we always have to stay informed about that. We're always going to school. I'm even going back to school, keeping, staying fresh in the, industry, because that's the only way to grow, especially in the electrical industry with everything that's popping up. Car chargers, solar. Now, you have the options of getting whole home generating, automatic transfer switches.
Oh yeah, batteries and stuff.
All the stuff. You got to stay up. You got to stay up to date. And
well, they just started doing it for me. Like when I got my license, there was no continuing ed, and then like 4 years later, they were like, "Hey, new policy. If you want to renew your license, it's the same renewal process, but you need these 8 hours of continuing ed." And I was like, "Oh, okay, okay." And then I took it, and to be honest, I was like, "This is a scam." I was like, this is a scam. Y'all taught me nothing new. You went over a book that I can reference myself, and you just wanted $100. Like, why don't you just say that renewing it is $100 more? Like, if that's what that's what it was about. And I was like, okay, I mean, I guess, this system sounded good to somebody, but I was like, this is a scam. I was like, you're not teaching anybody anything. We're going over the super standard, already known stuff. And I was like, this is okay. So hopefully it's better for y'all.
It all depends really on who you go with. At least in electrical, saying we have to do about 8 hours or so. When I first started when I checked in January, I think I had like 16 hours of continued ed already. Because I'm always staying, updated. I'm always trying to educate myself.
So you're doing stuff for the betterment of just you and your company, and ball and surprise, it happens to count towards your continuing ed. Oh, okay. See, that's awesome. See, I'm the person who's like, I don't want to say that classes for me don't exist. That's probably not true. They probably are, but I have yet to find the class that like is super exciting and would really better me and like help me, like the new deck building. Deck building hasn't changed that much. They've just advanced Trek and added deck tape. It's like it hasn't changed that much. But if there was like all of a sudden we're not doing decks this way, come take this class, I might be like, that's kind of interesting and exciting. Maybe I take that.
You don't need hurricane straps for decks anymore, or
no, we use hurricane ties.
I'll be honest, I'm not too familiar with the whole building section like that, like decks and whatnot. Did I help my dad? I helped my dad once build one, but it was only for a few minutes because it's never really been my thing, woodwork. Yeah, I gotta give it props though. That's definitely skill right there.
I love decks personally, especially because it's like, for me especially, it's like you go from there was nothing, and then 6 days later, let's have a barbecue. And it's just like that satisfaction of like staring out, especially like a really nice Trek deck. And just like for me, I'm thinking like, oh man, this family is going to hang out here for 20 years. They're going to barbecue every Friday, and like, they're going to get some cool furniture and, or whatever. But yeah, what's interesting about decks, which is, I would say, unlike a lot of the other trades like HVAC or even electrical, is there's gray area in decks. Electrical is like, yo, you got to wire it this way.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot of like, well, you could do it option A, option B, option C. It's like with decks, it's like, okay, do you want to use metal connectors? Do you want to put a wood ledger strip? Do you want to like do you want to use like nuts and bolts and washers, or do you want to use like the Trek, or not the Trek, the like tie, whatever the brand is, the ledger lock, like self-drilling bolts that like the box says like this is up to code for a bolt replacement, and it's like, okay, well, maybe you don't think they're strong enough, or you want to use both, or whatever, and it's so like there's a little bit more gray area, like I said, which that comes back to a factor of also of like, well, who's building it? You know, you get like some 6-year-old guy. He will build you a really strong deck, but he is not going to have joist hangers. He's going to use a ledger strip because that's how he did it when he was 20. Yeah. And it still passes code, and it's still super strong, and he knows it, and it's in the back of his head. You get me, I want joist hangers because that's what I grew up seeing. Yeah. I know they pass code. They make joist hangers with special joist hanger nails or special joist hanger screws, this, that, and the third. And it's like, okay, that's what I know. So, but they both pass code. Yeah. So it's like, as a homeowner, you really have to trust who you're doing, because like you can just look at two completely different built decks and be like, well, this doesn't look like that, but they're both fine. They're both code. They're both strong. So that's definitely an interesting factor when it comes to at least deck building specifically. Yeah.
Oh yeah, every trade has their thing, their niche. What makes it special, and what gives you a better sound installation. What isn't recommendable. What will pass code but still isn't the best recommendation. So you see that in every industry.
Yeah, and like you said before, very well put. Code is minimum. Mm-hmm. It's not really the way to do it. Code is like, this is the shittiest you can build it where it won't fall and you won't get sued. So if you're building to minimum code. Yeah. That's not really the move, like if the span says use 2x6s, just use 2x8s. Like it's okay. It's $200 more, but like when you jump on the deck, it won't wiggle. Right. And like, I'm a big dude. Stuff wiggles when I don't jump. I don't want that, So like, I want to use thicker lumber. Yeah. I want to put an extra post with an extra footer because I just know that it's gonna just be that much stronger. Oh yeah, And
honestly, I'm I would say if more builders were like you, where they considered all these factors, what's gonna give a better installation, it'll be a whole lot easier working, because you wouldn't believe all the headaches I have to deal with other builders or even customers. Sometimes like, oh no, just do it like this, just run it like that. Like, no, there's a way to do it right. And I think that's a good point. I think I want to make, to all the homeowners out there, especially about this, there's people out there who just straight up don't give a crap.
Unfortunately.
And they just want to make a quick buck, and they don't care about what's going to go on. And especially nowadays, like we were talking about earlier, new construction. Some nightmares right there.
Some nightmares.
And biggest thing I will always say, to any homeowner, who's going to be working with a contractor, is make sure the contractor, make sure, do your research.
Yes. You wouldn't. Oh, so well put.
You wouldn't believe the stuff we find. For example, there's this car chart. There's this home that I went to for a different service. Call. I don't remember what it was. I opened up I knew they had an EV charger because it was. So let's put it here because this is a nightmare. Yeah. They have a panel. And right next to the panel is like a smaller it's a sub panel, like a little tiny
We've had
panel.
To do that. Yeah.
Let's say it was a 30 space panel, meaning there was 30 spaces in the panel for breakers. And they had 6 spaces available that were unused. They still had the metal tabs, that come with the dead front. But like I said, I wasn't there for that EV charger. I was there for something else. But I still had to take that panel cover off. I take the panel cover off. Immediately, I look at it. the two number 6 wires that run to the sub panel that connects the charger, the two number 6 wires were hooked directly on the terminals that were bringing the full load to the main breaker.
So they just didn't even have a separate breaker going to the panel.
No, and I'll be honest, I don't know how.
They literally attached it to the feeders.
Yeah,
the
the
main-
feeder. So your two.
It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen, and I was terrified.
I'm sitting there wondering how their house didn't burn down the day after that went up.
Exactly.
That's
yeah.
insane.
I'll be honest. I told them, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to get this disconnected because I'm not gonna allow that to happen. You know, I'm not gonna. I wouldn't be able to sleep.
Well, because also as the last person who touches it, even if you're not touching that thing,
Yeah.
you're gonna now be responsible for whatever happens. So you have I don't even know what the right word is, a moral obligation to be like, look, this is like really dangerous and I have to click this off because I'm not responsible for you guys dying.
Just on the moral aspect, and the way they installed it is when the panels install. I'm talking to homeowners here. The way the panels are recessed in the wall is they're screwed onto the sides, with screws, and they're being held by the two studs.
Mm-hmm.
The way they drilled this is they came in through the side, drilled through the wood because there were still wood shavings in the panel, and they used no form of connector or anything. Over time, with vibration of the home and movement, those wires are going to be just rubbing on where they enter into the panel. They're going to be rubbing on that metal piece.
Yeah, it's pretty sharp metal if you don't add
Yeah.
that little rubber grommet. Yeah.
So yeah, you don't have that grommet or connector. However, it's going to cause potential arcing or whatnot, which could lead to a fire.
Yeah.
And then you have the number 6 gauge wire.
Real thick.
Number 6, it's thick, but it's not able to hook up to the load that's handling 200 amps.
No, of course not. Yeah. Especially when you only need 60 for those Tesla wall chargers.
I immediately asked the homeowner, who the hell did this? And they're like, I don't know. So I think their husband or someone said they got that installed. I was like, the fact that your house hasn't burned down is a miracle. And I'm still surprised to this day. And I was like, obviously there was no permit pulled or anything. I was like, did they tell you why they installed this? Oh, the guy said there wasn't enough juice in the panel. I was like, what do you mean there wasn't enough juice? She was like, no, that's what the guy said. There wasn't enough juice in the panel. I'm like,
you have 6 open slots.
Yeah,
You need
exactly.
one double slot 60 amp breaker to go to a car charger. It's like, it's not that complicated.
it's not.
That's so ridiculous.
And then I found out, you know how much they paid for this install?
Oh, I'm going to say like $3,400. $5,000.
I wish. $150.
150. Well, there you go.
There you go.
You want a $150 install? There you go. I mean, I've done some very cheap car charger installs, and not including the actual charger, which is I think $599 or $500 from Tesla, something like that. The cheapest we've ever been able to do it was like $550, and that's right next to the
Right
thing
next to it,
with
yeah.
12 inches of wire.
Yeah.
And you still need 2 grommets, a breaker. You need drywall cutting precision. You need drilling a hole precision. You need, me and my buddy Jeremy would do it. It still takes an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So like $150 is not possible.
Like,
Yeah.
I understand we all gotta work, gotta provide for our families, but I'm sorry, just don't get yourself into something that you don't know where
Yeah.
you're putting people's lives at risk, or even your own risk, because I don't know how the heck they got that wire into that terminal.
Like without shocking himself. How did he
Exactly.
do it?
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was hot.
Oh
Yeah, yeah.
Had to do it hot.
Yeah. You got to just stay in your lane. I love handymen, handy people, whatever you want to call them. We need them. I hire them all the time. I'll get hired for something below my price, and I'll be like, or let me rephrase that. I'll get hired for something that's like, respectfully, John Doe client, I have to charge you a lot of money to do that because I'm in this hourly rate. And they're like, okay, what can we do? And I'm like, you need this handyman who will do it for half the price because that's his lane. And I'm happy to give you his number. But like, you know, don't expect the general contractor to do stuff for less than $50-$60 an hour. I mean, that's just where we're at, you know? And I had one client who said, I don't care. I need this done today. And I was like, it's going to be $50 and it's going to take me 3 minutes to hook up your dryer vent. Because literally I need a screwdriver. He's like, I've got the vent and the 2 clips. I was like, I need 8 minutes and you to pull out the dryer. Yeah. And I was like, but if you got the $50, and he was like, no, you don't get it. I need this now. And I was like, I will be there in an hour. I'm on my way to Cary right now. Sure. But, you know, he knew that it was twice the price of calling John Doe Handy Repair,
right,
who would have happily hooked that up for $25, you know. But, you know, like you said, over communicate, be honest. What more can you do?
There's jobs where, yes, you know, you need a handyman. I love everybody. I love every trade, you know, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, HVAC, or whoever. I always get them mixed up.
They're the same.
Yeah. I love all the trades. Sheetrock, drywall, painting, trim work.
Nobody works harder than sheetrockers. Those guys are insane.
I'm going to be honest, my sensory issues, I can't stand the sheetrock dust.
I can't. No, we were on a job recently, and they were, you know, sanding all the sheetrock while we were in there, and I was like, I have to leave.
Oh no, I wouldn't be there, and I'm not even working. Yeah. No. I'd walk in and be like, okay, no glaring issues. Cool, have fun sanding. I'll be back tomorrow. Yeah, I don't need to watch them sand. Yeah, that's crazy.
If I'm putting in a cutting box or something, you know, making a hole in the drywall, I mean, we still got to deal with it, but I couldn't do it. You know, I deal with it very minimally. Every so and so, but I couldn't do that every day. You know?
Yeah. Are you more of a break out the little hand saw, or do you use the little vibrating bone saw and a shop vac? I like using the combo.
Yeah. So me and my dad were just having an argument about this not too long ago. He's anti. What's it called? Multi-tool?
Yeah. The multi-tool. Yeah. I call it a bone saw. It's not a bone saw.
It looks like a bone saw.
It looks like they cut a cast off you. It looks
that's
like
exactly
that.
How
Yeah. That's what it looks like. So I call it a bone saw. It's like Sawzall. No, there is no Sawzall. It doesn't exist. It's a brand.
It's like to me, I see it like the hairline edger. I was like,
like a clippers. Yeah, it looks like barber clippers. Yeah. That's exactly what it's like. Yeah.
Personally, I freaking love the
great tool.
It makes my life so much easier. But the argument here was he doesn't like using them because you never know if there's a wire right there, if what's running through there, because it will cut it through.
Yep, this is true.
And so he's like, if you're gonna make a hole, use the sheetrock hacksaw.
Yep.
Because
that won't cut a wire.
You at least feel it, you know, something's tugging here. What's wrong, you know? And I was like, you know what? You got a point. You know, I can see that. So some things I do use it for. I do use it. Sometimes I don't. So it's just one of those things where we have to be a little more extra cautious when to bust out the multi-tool or when just to use the regular.
Trust me, I feel you because I have known there's a wire behind where I'm cutting and still use the multi-tool. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to two-hand the tool and my partner's going to hold the shop vac instead of a one hand on each. And I'm like, because we're just going to plunge through and stop and plunge through and stop and plunge through and stop. And I could feel the back of the tape and stop and back of the tape and stop and stop and stop. And they're like, it's not loose. I'm like, that's fine. Hit it with a hammer. We don't want to go any deeper because the literal main trunk is right there. Yep. And we do not have $8,000 to rerun this.
If you hire Brite Co and you get Pedro out on the job, Pedro's a pro. I'm Pedro, by the way.
I was about to say, we're doing third person all of a sudden. Yeah. Corbett's a pro as well. I hear Sarah's really bad at her job. No, just kidding.
Just stands around on the job.
Yeah. She likes to just pout and look and go, when do I get in there with a label maker? I got one sitting around here. Here's mine. See, I love labels.
I love label makers.
Label makers are the best. Yeah. My, one of my electricians is still pretty old school with the Sharpie, but I will say it's good. Like, zero issues. It's clear. I can read his handwriting.
As long as I can read the handwriting,
right,
that's all I care about.
There you go. Yep. As long as you can read it.
We'll get in there with like the Sharpie pens every now and then and just handwrite it. But I write it.
Yeah.
Because my handwriting is a little more legible than some of the other people.
I won't even attempt to write it. My handwriting is so trash. I'll be like, someone's writing it, or I'll get the label maker. But don't ask me to write. And like, don't look at the notes that I made while I'm like, if you're a customer and I'm writing notes down, they're not going to impress you. You won't be able to read them. But trust me, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I can read it, but you're not going to.
I can read my own notes and relay it to the 8 subs that we need to price your project.
Right.
But you're not gonna. Don't ask for a copy of the notes. You're not gonna be able to make sense of them.
The way my handwriting is, I should have gone to medical school.
What is that about doctors and prescription script? I guess that joke is over because it's all digital now.
Well,
But
yeah.
that joke was real for decades of like
yeah.
nobody could read it except for the pharmacist somehow.
So I was told that, you got all these medicine names or whatnot, and there's just super long, or complex sounding words. So they're like, shit, how?
You could say shit.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. Shit. It's fine.
sorry. I'm a good boy.
I was gonna say nobody can see your face right now, but he was very upset at the curtain. You're good. You're fine.
I got a little halo. To anybody that meets me out there, I got a little halo on my head. 'Cause that's how much of a good boy I am. But what was I saying?
Oh man, I don't even know.
I don't
Something
know.
about label makers. Yeah.
Label makers are great. We love them. Brite Co. That's also where all the money goes, to the little label.
To those little label makers.
the little tapes.
Yeah. That's awesome. So yeah, before we wrap up, what can you give like y'all's information for listeners who like, obviously they'd call me for big stuff, but if they just need to swap a fan, they can hit y'all directly.
For sure.
Of
I
course.
can hit it. I have my spiel.
Oh,
No,
give us a
not even.
spiel.
It's just I have it memorized.
Oh.
So yeah, we're licensed and insured. We serve all of North Carolina. If you're in the Raleigh Triangle area, up towards the Triad area, our phone number is 919-650-8563. If you're in the Charlotte or surrounding areas, it's 704-453-7099. We're on Facebook at Brite Co Electric, BriteCo Electric. And then our website is britecoelectric.com.
What about Instagram?
Not on Instagram.
Not on Instagram.
No, not
Gotcha.
yet. So
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no money on Instagram, so keep it on Facebook. Yeah.
It's
Instagram's a different. I mean, it's tough. I mean, I went to school for marketing, for digital marketing. So it's I see the value of Facebook for what we're doing. Instagram, I feel like, is a great way to showcase what we do, but it may not be the best avenue to get clients.
I would agree. I am on Instagram, and I feel like it gets me nothing. But you put the pictures up there. But the reality I find is that if you are in the age demographic that has a home and therefore money to spend on your home, you're slightly older and in the Facebook generation, less so the Instagram generation. Now, granted, listeners, that is a sweeping generalization, and I am not an expert, but it is what we are seeing as the people in this industry choosing where to market. Do you all use Nextdoor at all?
We do. Yep, we're on Nextdoor.
I like Nextdoor a lot.
And then we're looking at this summer gearing up an Instagram and maybe a TikTok. Just for fun.
Yeah. I am one of those people who is about as far against TikTok as you could be. Yeah. I heard what the there's the TikTok app you're using and what you can see. And then I heard the stuff you can't see and how they get into your home wireless router and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, so never. I was like, so just simply never putting that on any device I own.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for us, the main benefit with it is that, multimedia thing where we can throw in some videos. Hey, have you ever thought about this electrical hazard in your home? Have you noticed this? What about this going on? Just educating our clients still, educating the community and letting them know there's, electrical hazards in your home. Do you know about them? Do you know when it's an issue?
Yeah.
And that's a campaign that I'm running on Facebook right now. Every Monday I'm doing a post. We're calling it Bright Ideas.
That's very cool.
So,
yeah, every Monday,
just-
my social media guy does like Q&A with a contractor. So he
Right.
had me answer like 10 questions at once, and he's chopping them up and throwing them
Yeah.
up. So every Monday, there's like me answering a question.
Yeah.
So I think that is genius. Definitely don't stop, because the amount of information out there is overwhelming, but the amount of information that is true and worthwhile seems to be very small.
Right.
And if y'all are out here doing it correctly, overbuilding, making sure that the morals come first and the customers come first, and then also putting out educational stuff that gets you no benefit other than just making sure people are safer. And if they're in Alabama and not going to hire you, who cares? But their house won't burn down. But if there's
Exactly.
somebody in Raleigh who sees it, they're going to hire you. So
Right.
it's only a plus, and I think it absolutely should keep doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that we're here, to help out. We understand nowadays things have gotten so expensive. The way the economy is, we want to protect your investment. At the end of the day, your home isn't what is a purchase, but at the end of the day, your home is an investment. You got to do what you have to do to keep it, keep it safe. You make sure it lasts for ages. And that's what we're all about, making sure, at least guiding you, at least on the electrical aspect, something else, you got another trade. But at least on the electrical aspect, that's what we're all about here, just in, I like to say that Brite Co, we're just chill people. I like the, laid back, make it super easy, just the one, just a smooth transition, process, no headaches, no this or that. That's what we're all about. Because I don't like drama.
Yeah. I need more of y'all's chill vibes in my life. Because I take it, don't misinterpret. It's because I care, but I take my own mistakes sometimes way too hard. And it then affects how I interact with other people.
Yeah.
And it's even my plumber and I, when we smashed the sink accidentally, it was his fault. The directions clearly said, put the faucet in, secure it from the bottom.
Yeah.
And instead he secured it to the sink, and then we tried to put the whole thing in together. And the little brass nut was too big for the hole, so it wouldn't go all the way in. So we're pressing on it, and and it breaks. And I look at the directions and I'm like, Tom, why didn't you, I hired you, you're the plumber. I'm only here to supervise and help you lift this sink. Why didn't you? And he's like, well, we never do it that way, blah, blah, blah. And he's one of these 60-plus-year-old dudes who's been doing it for eternity, and he's incredible. Don't get me wrong. Tommy's the man. Shout out Tommy Adams. I'll continue to hire him. We're going to put in the new sink that's being delivered today on Friday. But it was one of those things where I kept being like, why didn't you do it the way the directions say it in plain English? It took me 8 seconds to find it. And he kept going, we always do it this way, blah, blah, blah. It was something else wrong. And we eventually get to this point where we're now just mad at each other, and he storms out and gets in his van. And then 12 seconds later, I walk out to the van and I'm like, hey man, and he's like, I'm already over it. And he's like, let's go get a beer. Today sucked. And I was like, okay, let's do that. And literally he's following me back to my house, and I almost get murdered by a semi.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. I had to dodge a Bronco with the 16-year-old kid who ran a yield, go into oncoming traffic, almost get in a head-on collision going 40 miles an hour with a semi. And I'm in the 2015 aluminum F-150, so it would have folded up like a tin can, right? And literally, Tommy gets out. Then we get to my driveway, and Tommy just opens his door. He gets out of his van, because he knows my family for a long time. And he literally says, and I quote, I thought I was calling your parents for an obituary. It was that close and that bad. And he's like, we got to go get a beer right now. And I don't even drink. And I was like, you're right. We need to go get a beer and a burger right now. It would have been better if we stayed in bed. This was just a terrible day. Yeah. So, but that was one of those things where it was at the end of the day, I'm going to ruin a working relationship and a friend over a $480 sink that him and I could just split and make a little less money on this one job. And is it that big of a deal? no, it's not even half a deal. It's not even a deal. It's nothing. But, you know, I cared that much, and I felt super embarrassed. And, like, I'm in this guy's kitchen shattering a $500 sink or whatever. And, you know, it sucked.
And at the end of the day, it's the honesty. You'd be surprised sometimes just being upfront with your customers.
Yep.
All that it shows to them is, oh, wow, I can trust this guy, and he'll take care of me. And you'll be surprised. Sometimes the screw-ups are what give you more work than the not screw-ups.
No, you definitely have some validity to that. And he, in this particular case, couldn't have been more understanding, more chill. It was like, shit happens. He actually even was like, that's our second sink. The first one arrived broken. So he like laughed it off, and he was like, I'll just email you the link. I was like, perfect. I Apple paid for it immediately. I was like, it's coming as quickly as possible, you know, and he was like, okay, cool. You know, it's like, he was very, very nice. He still is, in fact. Yeah, we're in the middle of the job. But that's a factor we didn't really talk about, is just the difference in the understanding of some customers. I guess we kind of mentioned it with some of our stories, but like, you know, you've dealt with some of those rude customers on the phone who I would like a firm price over the phone without you coming here. I don't care about the factors. Well, you're an idiot. Hire that $150 idiot who's going to just jam it into the terminals, you know? And then you get some customers who are just like, you know, you didn't really mention if the customer was chill, but that like dimmer that burns out in 5 minutes, you know.
Love them. Love them. Awesome customer, and, you know, super chill, understanding. Like, no, and I put they got another switch back in there, so, you know, they got taken care of, you know.
Yeah.
So the only reason they asked is because they saw the lights that started flickering, and I was like, oh yeah, but, you know, we'll get it fixed. So, you know, up front, you know, stuff like that, and, you know, you take care of it right then and there.
Yeah.
And I guess real quick too, another thing I kind of got sidetracked a bit real quick. You know, I don't want to eat up all the time. Is
the time limit's only you guys. We've got no, like, we don't have to stop this at a certain point. So if y'all have to get out of here for a client, that's the only like limit. So feel free.
Got a lot of people waiting. I want to take this opportunity to tell this to all the homeowners, business owners, whoever's listening out there. Whenever working with a contractor, look out for the guys who are having a license fronted for work.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I don't know in your
elaborate
field.
on that. What's that?
In electrical, at least from what we've seen, I don't know about other trades. I'm sure it goes on there too. We see a lot of the time someone will come to do the work, and it's not like a subcontractor relationship. They're saying, hey, I have a buddy that has an electrical contractor license. I'm going to pay him $150. He's going to say that his license is on this work, but I'm going to be the one out here promoting the work, doing the work.
That's
doing
illegal.
Everything. It is.
It is.
But it happens all the time.
Oh.
We run into it all the time.
Just casually, regularly?
Oh, yeah.
What the what? Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. That's ridiculous.
And I kind of touched base on it that when I said verify your contractor, but we got out, you know, good conversation and we kept on going. But I was like, no, you know, let me bring that up. You know, we're informing the homeowners here or customers or potential new clients or business owners. That's my biggest pet peeve. And not on the fact of I'm losing out on business. I could care less, to be honest.
It's that we're going to get called back later because something happened wrong.
Yeah, you are.
And not even on that, but just me personally, I have a passion for this industry, for this trade, for this career path. I eat, sleep, breathe electrical. I'll never shut up about it. And Sarah can attest to that.
He won't. It's just all the time. No.
You guys are at a comedy show, and he's like, yeah, they had to run a lot of wires for those stage
Any
lights.
building we walk into, the first thing he does is look up and look at the pipe run and see how it looks. Was it sloppy? Was it neat? Would he do it the same way?
I can't say I'm any different. I'll be with my girlfriend Jen. We'll be driving somewhere, and I'll be like, "Did you see that fence? That was cool. I like the way they did that. Yeah. I need to take a picture. Do you mind if I turn around?" She'll be like, "Yes, I mind." She's never said yes, I mind. But it's true. Yeah.
You always hear me say this. I see work from other contractors. I'm like, yeah, those guys did good. Oh, yeah, that's I always give props to people because my ideology in business is that the sun comes out for everybody, you know? If I didn't get that project, but so and so got it, I know they're gonna do a great job. Chill, it's no issue, you know. Maybe me and that client didn't click well or whatever reason, but it's cool,
Yeah.
Great job, they're gonna do an amazing job. But just when it gets to those issues where licenses are being fronted and whatnot, and that's really where we have an issue, and it really grinds my gears, because that individual, first, the individual that's fronting the license doesn't even know what's going on. The other individual that's doing the work isn't qualified, doesn't have any accountability or anything for the work that he's performing, So,
Well, and there's a lot of work. I mean, I can only speak to electrical, but I know some of the other trades as well. There's a lot of work that goes into the licensing process.
Yeah.
You have to know the code. You have to understand the calculations. Pedro, you studied forever. I mean, not forever, but I mean, you're constantly studying because you want to understand everything. But I mean, just seeing some of the math you have to do is ridiculous. I mean, so does this person that's, doing this install at your home, they didn't do that. They took the cheap way out, which is the illegal way out, and are borrowing a license from somebody. They didn't go through all that studying and all that knowledge. They may not know the code.
Yeah.
So are they going to really have your best interests? Be working in your best interest to make sure that you have a quality installation for what you're doing.
Yeah. If you're a homeowner and you just want to get the cheapest possible option, don't call either one of us, because that's the cheapest option is an illegal option.
Oh yeah.
And
Right.
it's like, if both of us, all three of us, we have licenses. Y'all are an entity. Brite Co has a license.
Mhm.
You have to study for that license. You have to have continuing ed for that license. That comes with insurance and tools that are insured, a truck that is insured. There's like a lot of stuff that goes into this. And guess what? In everything, every trade across every single facet of this world, that is broken up, and you're paying for it as a customer. You're $3 of that bill is towards my insurance or whatever I just made that number up.
Right.
But
Yeah.
that's how that works. It's like, if you're going to hire a dude and he's 1/3 cheaper, use a little critical thinking and ask yourself, why is he a whole third cheaper? If they're really equal, is the more expensive one just gouging you because you drive a nice car? Or is that other person not qualified? Maybe they didn't see a very crucial large part of the project. Maybe they're factoring in $100 for GFCI outlets or GFCI breakers times 14 breakers, and there's $1,400 extra dollars that the other person didn't think about because they don't know that the new code changed last year, and now you need GFCI breakers. Obviously, this is not a real life example of the code changing. I'm just saying codes change all the time.
Oh yeah.
All the time, and you have to be up to date with it. And for customers, check the license. Give it a Goog. It's not hard. Yeah. There's a whole free database.
Oh yeah.
You could type in CRS contracting into the North Carolina, I guess it's the North Carolina Builder
Board of General Contractors.
Whatever it is. There's a free website,
yeah.
And you could type it in. First of all, my license number's on my card. If people don't have a license number, next. That's just immediately no, license number. But check the license number. Because guess what I can do? I could type 1234 under license number and print it on a card for $10 on Vistaprint. And if you don't check it, now you're an idiot. But if you took 8 seconds before you gave a contractor $20,000 for a project and Googled and checked that license number, if you check Brite Co or CRS Contracting, you're going to see license, active, cases open, 0, cases pending, 0, cases resolved, 0, problems, 0. And you need those zeros. It's right there. It's right there in English. It's like people do more research for a $6 thing they buy on Amazon before they drop $20,000 on an electrician.
Exactly.
Do the same research. Do half the research you would do on Amazon.
Right.
Not only are you bringing in strangers into your, because at the end of the day, I am a stranger. Not only are you bringing a stranger into your home, you don't know what's up with them. You don't know if they're gonna give you a good installation or not. You don't know what's gonna happen. You have to do your homework about it. Make sure who you're hiring to do the work. And also, I know it's not fun to talk about money, but if you have a question, call the contractor. Schedule a call with him. Like, hey, why do you charge me 10 grand for this, or why do you charge me X amount for this?
And we're always happy to talk through a quote with a client. Like, we'd rather you understand why you're paying what you're paying than go into it blindly and feel like you're getting something pulled over on you, like we're gouging you or anything.
Yeah.
If our price comes back higher and you want to understand why, sure, let's talk about it.
Yeah. I would respect that about a client. It's way better than the clients who just ghost you.
Right.
Because I get that all the time. Like, oh, I need this door installed. Can you come give me a quote? Sure. I go, I measure, whatever. I call Talbert's, I price the door, this, that, and the third. And then I'm like, hey, it's $1,200. And I just never hear back.
Yeah.
Ever.
Right.
But if they had written me back and been like, I'm confused why it's $1,200. The door I'm finding online is $199. My budget's $800. Like, could you maybe... like, what's going on? And I'd be like, okay, well, I priced a more expensive door. You didn't realize that you have to get that painted. You also need a new doorknob, and I got to buy a pack of shims, and I got to come there 3 different visits and I got to pay at the dump to haul the old one away. And if you had a pretty calm, rational conversation, you could at least, you might not get the job, but you could at least inform that customer of like,
Exactly.
respectfully, $800 is not really going to get it done. You might have to paint it yourself, or you might have to throw the door away yourself. Like it's going to be really hard to find somebody to do the whole. And like now, at least they got some knowledge and an understanding of like, especially for me, because I charge for quotes. So if I had no morals, I could take your $100 for a quote and say it's $275 grand. And then you go, hell no. And I just keep making $100 a quote all day, every day.
Right.
But that's not how I was raised. And that's against my moral code. So I'm going to say, oh, your deck is 12 grand. And they're like, oh, it's still too high. And I'm like, well, it's $8,700 for materials. I got to demo your old one and haul it away. And I got to pay 4 guys for 5 days. What do you think they get paid? I mean, they don't do it for free. Like my carpenter Ray has 4 kids. Guess what? He gets paid.
Oh yeah.
It's like, so yeah. If you're a customer listening, be kind and courteous and all that, and that's for just humans in general. But don't feel that you don't have the right to have a civil conversation and want to know why.
Exactly.
And there's also there's a difference between a civil conversation and wanting to know why and asking for a broken down quote.
Okay, get it out of my
Don't do that. If you're a customer, just don't do that. Like if you want to know why, talk to me after the air, but just don't do it. We're busy.
How much are you charging me for each screw that you're going to be using?
Yeah, if you have that, if that type of information is going to make you feel better, you need a shrink for your trust issues, because at some point, like, that's just not how it works. Like, you and me or whatever, pick an item. We don't buy just the amount of screws for your job. Exactly. I buy 20-pound boxes of deck screws, and it's just like we just grab them. It's like, it's completely, you buy outlets, you buy wire by the hundreds of feet, spools. You buy outlets by the biggest quantity they'll sell you. You buy the blue gang boxes and boxes 250 or whatever the hell it is. So, itemized receipts not going to make you feel better. And half the time they're being made up. So it's like, if you want a little bit of a breakdown of like each trade, that's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But
no, but definitely it's just all about open communication, but just know who you're getting into with, what the situation is. Don't always run to the cheapest option, or because I've given some cheap prices too.
Yeah. Or just be aware, like,
aware.
It's the cheap option. These 3 corners are being cut. Yeah. They're not going to be safety corners, but they're not corners that we're okay cutting. Mm-hmm. If you as a customer are okay with those corners being cut, cool. But at least that we didn't give you, the rip you off price. Yeah. We gave you this is how we do it, so we charge this much.
Exactly.
And there's definitely been situations too. We've given a really cheap quote for something. For instance, we're literally next door doing the same thing for this person. I'm not going to charge it as another trip to come out here. If I'm next door already doing this and it's only going to take me 2 hours there and 2 hours here, fine, we'll make it work. we'll give you a better price. We'll give them a better price. We'll lump it together. Y'all
Yeah.
can both get a discount.
Y'all
'cause
can
you're-
split the travel fee
exactly,
or whatever.
a group
Yeah.
discount. There you go. Like,
Yeah.
we'll make something work to, you know, make it work better. Or, I mean, if it's something super simple and we can knock it out right now and we already have, you know, some of the material with us, just have to run to the supply house, get 2 more things, we can give you a good price, get it done real quick. There's times when things are like that. But if you're doing especially more major work or like getting, like, I keep going back to the EV chargers. That's the thing I've been doing for a while now.
That's the big thing now. So
Yeah.
it makes
It's
sense.
a big thing. We
Yeah,
do a
it's
lot of them.
exploding. Yeah. Especially in North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If you're getting one installed, we can probably give you a price there on the spot or type something up, get you something the same day. Expect that. If someone walks up and says, $200, I got you, you should ask questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to know how they're going to install it, what they're going to do. And that's what we always try to do is explain. This is how we're going to install it. This is what it's going to look like. We did one pretty similar to this. Here's a picture. Here's what you can expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, you know, the clients doing their research and then also the companies, you know, educating.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess it's just a matter of, and this does not imply that y'all are not busy because y'all are swamped, but I guess there's just a lack of maybe the need or the lack of care of other tradespeople who are just not interested in providing that education. They're just like, I want to get paid. I want to do my work, and I'm not here to like hold your hand. And I guess, you know, they're just losing out on the customers who need their hand held a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it comes down to as well, just like, I'm busy, I don't have time for this, is
Yeah.
what people will say. I'm busy, I don't have time to sit here and explain things to you. That's happened to us in other regards.
Yeah.
That's a whole other rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But they say, oh, I'm too busy, I don't have time to explain anything to you. Well, how are you supposed to feel confidence as a homeowner that this person's going to do a good job and that this person's going to look out for you when they're working in your home if they can't even take the 5 minutes to explain something to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's very well said, and it's a good point. And if you're a homeowner, that should absolutely be something that you're factoring in. I mean,
Right.
if we lived in a perfect world, every contractor would be the same as every contractor. Every electrician would be the same as every electrician. So in a perfect world, pretending that that's the case, you're selling your personality. You're selling your ease to work
Oh, yeah.
with. And I'm doing the same thing. So if you're making it harder to work with you, like I can't work with my parents. We worked together for a long time, and now we don't because we don't work well together. They are micromanagers, and I have a short temper. And you put those, and you know, they'll blur the line of you're my kid, you're my employer.
Right. That can be tough.
Employee rather.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't talk to me like a faceless plumber. You birthed me. Let's talk differently. And they can't. And like they have their issues, and I sure as hell have my issues. This is not like a one way. They're terrible. I've got great parents. Let's be clear. But they just built a brand new, amazing home in Durham, and I was like, yes, I will get your permit as your son in GC. And then I said, here's my Rolodex of subcontractors. Have a ball.
Mm-hmm.
And they're architects and designers and like but I was like, we're not doing this, and it was one of those factors where it was like, we're gonna butt heads the whole time. We're gonna argue about who's right.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna get the project done, and then we're gonna not have like a family relationship anymore.
Right.
I was like, is this worth me making $30,000, or should I just go work for strangers and you guys just here you go?
Yeah.
And that's what we did, and their house is great, and now we still love each other. So
That's what matters.
Yeah, exactly. We had Passover last night. we're educating my brother's, what is he, 6, and then the twin girls are 4. And I think it was their first Passover Seder.
Okay.
It was very abridged. We did like a 6-minute, like, okay, this is the general story, and here's the wine prayer and the candle prayer, and mom made brisket. Let's go. So it's like, it's very funny. Okay. Anything else you guys want to say to listeners?
Let's see.
I appreciate y'all coming.
Oh, of course. I do want to add in real quick. I am busy at the wazoo. and I lose a lot of sleep. But if I'm coming to your home to give you a quote or a consultation, you have me for that amount of time that we're there. You know, if we're there for an hour, you have my undivided attention for that hour or however long that consultation is. But I'm there for you. And because I put myself in the perspective as I've always had bad experiences with mechanics, of course everyone's going to be afraid of us when we show up because, like, oh, you know, here comes the electrician, you know, they're notorious for being expensive. He's going to charge me an arm and a leg and blah, 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 blah. And then he's probably going to run out or not come back or, you know, all the horror stories we hear. Now, when we show up, we give my undivided attention. We give you, you know, we discuss what you want to do, how we can approach it, get it installed, get it done. And, you know, that's what we do. You know, we try to put you at ease knowing that, you know, you're inviting a stranger into your home to do this. But we want to put you at ease that, you know, we're gonna take care of you. You know, we're gonna get this installed, you know, to the best of our abilities. You know, we're here for you. We're not, you know, I understand that perspective, you know, the customer's perspective. And sometimes they say they're just a really difficult customer. No, sometimes they're not, because I've had customers that I've been warned about that, oh, that's a difficult customer, be careful. I walk up in there, that's my best customer I've ever had. But it's because they're scared.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that all customers are scared, you know, not trying to make it sound bad, but like they've had bad experiences with other contractors.
Mm-hmm.
And so here I come in and I have to undo all that screw up from the other contractor, and not even on the work aspect, but just on the way they treated them. So my goal is to come in here, put you at ease, knowing that, hey, don't worry, Pedro with Brite Co, I got you.
Yeah, I had a customer call me, and they had been like legitimately robbed by a contractor.
Oh yeah.
And so I did not take the job because of that fear.
Yeah.
Every word that came out of my mouth was, "You're a crook." Everything. And I was like, you don't want to hear me say it, but this tile needs to be ripped up. Like, this new tile was not done correctly. All of these interior walls were framed incorrectly. I have to rip them all down. I was like, I don't know who you hired. I don't know what they did. I'm not in charge of that, but I'm like, if you want me to take over and do it correctly, I got to go back to where you should have hired me before this guy and do it all correctly, which means money, 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 you know? And you could just see, and even my plumber who I brought with me, he was like, we're not getting this one. And I was like, I already gave up on it. I was like, I didn't know what job I was, like, I didn't know before I got there. I just got a call and like, so this contractor left the job. It's like halfway done. I need someone to take it over. And I was like, okay, cool, no problem. And I get there and I'm like, nope, this isn't halfway done. We have to rip all this off.
Sure reminds me. Actually, I think it was here in Durham. I had a buddy of mine, also contractor, good friends, and it was like, hey, there's this house, I think like 3,000 square feet or something like that. The electrician who did the work in here was not licensed.
Mm-hmm.
He told the homeowner that he was licensed.
Mm-hmm.
Started doing the work. When the time that inspections came about, he was like, "Oh, yeah, I don't really have a license." Either way, that was part of the story. We show up, we started looking everywhere. Everything was done incorrectly, and the wiring, from the spacing of the receptacles to which wire goes where. There was no panel installed. There was no meter and nothing, just the wiring, and they were all just dumped in the crawl space. You crawled underneath, you saw like
just a hairnet of
a
wire.
hairnet of wire.
Yeah.
And
where he was gonna, I guess, put the panel.
I guess
eventually.
so.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, putting it in the
Yeah,
crawl
who
space,
knows? Yeah.
That's best aesthetically pleasing. That's a joke. I wouldn't put.
No, don't put any equipment in your crawl space. If you have the means, build a utility room inside the envelope.
Oh yeah. But there you go. I told this guy, hey man, I'm not trying to charge you out the wazoo, but look, I gotta rip out all this wire, man, because it's all sorts of wrong. I gotta pretty much charge it as a rewire, and not only do I have to rewire, I have to pull everything out.
Yeah, the demo's not free.
Yeah.
All those staples that got put in with that specialty gun, you got to pop those all out. And if the wire's damaged, you can't reuse it. And even if it's not damaged, you probably can't trust it because it's been exposed and you don't know where he bought it from. Or, you know, for all you know, he ripped it out of another house. Like, there's no, you know, and you can't take the risk of having it all done, insulated, sheetrocked, all to discover that the wire was crimped and you couldn't visually see. So you have to start. You have to start from zero, and that customer probably felt like he was being murdered.
Oh, yeah.
With wallet-wise.
I think in total with repairs, and it was definitely way more than 30 in the 30s.
Oh,
way
wow.
More.
That's so much money.
It was a big house in regards that it had 3 stories, too.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to think about accessibility, bringing up the wire and all this stuff, and then all the... There was other major issues too, not just, you know.
There was a lot going on there.
There was a lot going on, more than I can even say. Just a lot of issues.
But I mean, we even walked in there, and our friend that was the contractor said, "We're gonna have to rewire this, aren't we?" And we're like, "Well, we'll see what we can salvage. You know, see if there's anything that looks okay." And he's like, "We're gonna have to rewire it. I already know." We meet back up with him at the end. He's like, "We have to rewire it." He just knew before he went into it.
I have this client. Kim, we finally got it all sorted out, and she's like, you saved the day. I want to hire you for the garage. And I'm like, cool. But literally, I told her she needs to sue like the town of Cary, because I was like, if you're, first of all, I hate the term multi-trade inspector. And for listeners, that's exactly what it sounds like. In Durham, they don't exist. In Durham, there's an inspector for electrical, there's an inspector for HVAC, there's an inspector for plumbing, there's an inspector for framing, and they're not the same people. And they don't even really talk to each other. In Cary, for some reason, there's one dude who's allowed to inspect all of the trades, and the framing, and the final, and the insulation. I don't understand that. How could you possibly have all the knowledge? Doesn't make any sense. And this house... literally not even 5 years old. All of the sheetrock had to be removed. All of the insulation was wet and had to be removed. All of the 4 bathrooms, all of the pans, tubs, all of it had to come out, leaking, bad. The electrical might have been the only thing that was okay. There was a beam in the garage that was so wrong and against code that they had to abandon it as a garage, frame underneath the beam, and lose their garage and convert it into a kitchen. Like, it was so, I had never seen anything like it. And she had called like 4 contractors who all came out and all said, I want nothing to do with this, before she got to me. And I was like, I would love to help you, but I am not going to be your contractor of record. And she was like, I'm already the contractor of record as the homeowner, and I've got permits. And I was like, cool. Well, then I will help you with my subcontractors. But I don't want this on my record. Like, this is really, really bad. And she was like, how is it so? She was like, how did it get built? And I literally looked her in the face, and I was like, I don't understand how this passed all of these mistakes in the code. I mean, plumbing run through load-bearing beams, inappropriately notched, huge holes in framing. I mean, the things I had just never seen. And we're like, how do we even fix it? My plumber's like, I can't get my hand in there to cut the pipe. I got to cut this piece of wood. I'm like, you can't cut that piece of wood. He's like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, finally, it's sorted now, blah, blah, blah. It's now like insulated and sheetrocked, and, you know, her painters are doing her thing and whatever. But I told her straight up, I was like, I will, on your behalf, like, I will be a witness you can call as a licensed professional. You need to go after the town of Cary. They need to pay you for this. It shouldn't have passed code. It's on them. I was like, there's a point where you blame the plumber for plumbing it wrong, but then there's also a point where, like, you passed the rough in, and you passed the final, and you passed the framing where it was cut inappropriate. I was like, that's 3 times it should have failed. I'd never seen anything like it before in my life. And this is Cary, and it's like a nice house. It's like a really nice, like 4,000 plus square foot, 3-story in a really nice neighborhood. Like, it doesn't make sense. And it's a horror story, man.
Oh, wow.
And like, think about it's probably the same person. No, I'm just kidding. But like, you know, and like, I mean, she was on the phone with me one time, just like, I don't know what to do. It's like 3 different experts keep telling me this, and then the inspector says this, and I was like, I can only tell you what's right. Yep. I don't know about the other people you're talking to, and it just like
that's the unfortunate thing for sure. Yeah. And because I'm gonna be honest, there's been projects that I've told them, look, I would love to help and whatnot, but unless if we strip everything out and start over from scratch, or other than that, sorry, I can't help you.
I can't help you.
Yeah, because there's also a risk that, like I said, you can't trust what other people have done. Unfortunately, electrical, there's a science behind it. There's there's science and theory behind it. And unfortunately, people think that it's just a matter of running one wire here, one wire there. It's not. I had a guy back when I used to work for a company, a guy that was said, man, I don't know why they make the electrical test so hard. Like, they should make it easier. They have to understand that people who work in electrical are just like people who didn't even finish high school or whatnot. I was like, what the heck are you talking about? To get into any apprenticeship program or wherever, you have to have your first things first. You have to have your high school GED. You know,
bro. I am a college graduate. I failed my GC test twice. Let's that dude doesn't know what he's talking about. First of all these trade exams are very hard.
Oh yeah.
Second of all, the people who make the tests don't even hide the fact that they're trying to trip you up with wording, not even knowledge, with wording, because they're trying to make it harder for non-English speaking people, which is bullshit. Because who cares where you were born or what's your first language? If you can do the work, you should be able to do the work. And I speak English, and it still messed with me. I failed it twice.
Oh,
it
man,
sucks.
The wording, that can get you, because I was like, come on, looking at it, it's right. Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Well, it's so complex. Oh, and added on, even with this guy, he went on his little spiel. After that, I don't know how it came up. He was like, yeah, I've only done coke and meth and like all this other stuff like just once or twice. Like, what?
It's exactly
Maybe
the type
that's
of...
why our brain is fried.
Yep. Okay, so just, if you're listening, make sure your electrician is really high on meth.
Yeah.
And he'll be fine.
He'll be great.
Yeah, he'll get it done right.
He won't feel the shock when he just welds cords right into the main for your $150 install that he spent $149 on more meth.
There you go.
The meth means that he's inspired the work.
Sure.
Yeah.
Actually, you want to know
he gets to save all the money he doesn't spend on dental care.
Oh, yeah.
So we've gone too far.
There's this one saying.
Oh.
It's this guy I follow on TikTok. He's a builder out of South Carolina. He says, "Don't get out hustled by a crackhead."
Yeah.
Because if a crackhead can go out and figure out a way to make money to get crack, you can figure out a way to make money.
That's so true. Oh my God. I've heard, I don't know if it's like that same guy, but I've heard like basically the same saying, and it's like they put that audio over like, people working really hard, like digging foundations or something like that. Yeah, it's so good.
No, the way I heard it was, you never hear a crackhead say, "Oh, don't have money for crack. Guess I'm not going to do crack today." They're going to go out and figure out how to get that crack. Are you really about to get out hustled by a crackhead? Yeah.
That's probably the exact way he said it.
I think that is it, actually. He's got the steel trap memory over there.
Yep.
Yeah. Or like, y'all know Shane Gillis, the comedian? No. He talks about it on stage, obviously, a lot, but he has a sister with Down syndrome. So he's just like very involved in the Down syndrome community. Him and his uncle even own like a coffee shop in their hometown that is only employs people with special needs. But of course, his bits are brutal. But he's like, I've got a sister with Down syndrome. I can say whatever the hell I want. And he's just like, they're doing better than everybody. They're just on Capri Suns and loving John Cena and loving tits. And it's like, all I want to, sorry, they're not on like antidepressants and meth. It's just like the funniest freaking thing. And he's like, they're always on and then he brings up his other sister who I think was a crack addict. And he's like, The thing about crack addicts is they're always on a mission. They're always on a quest. You're just like you're crack. You wake up, must get copper. It's like it's true. They always find a way.
Yeah.
They do always find a way.
So if they can find a way, I'm pretty sure you can find a way.
We can find a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they can do it, we can do it.
That's
Yeah.
the new. You know what? That's the new motto at Brite Co. That's how we're not gonna let the
Brite Co.
crackers-
We will not be out hustled by crackheads.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna steal that logo as well.
Yeah. Go for it.
Oh.
And on that note, all you listeners, go into the world and out hustle your local crackhead. And Sarah, one last time, just give the local 919 number for y'all.
For sure. So our number is 919-650-8563.
Awesome. And that's Brite Co, BRITE, Brite Co Electric. And as always, thanks for listening. And the Orange Hammer podcast is on all the social medias. You can hire CRS Contracting. Email is corb@wsdg.com. Phone number is 845-489-6057. If you want to come on the show, talk about something specific, have me talk about something specific, or just want to say hi, you can drop me a line any of those places. And Pedro and Sarah, just want to thank you both for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome.
Really enjoyed being on here. Thank you for everybody for listening. And Pedro with Brite Co Electric, making America bright.
Let's make America bright again.
Oh yeah.
There we go. All right. All right. Bye, everybody.